Chapter 196. One Fight to Fame. A Chilean divine beast composed purely of flames, the same size as the golden giant, revealed itself. The golden giant instinctively took a step back. Yizhao still retained some of his reason. He discovered that the fire Chilean opposite him was a threat to him. The fire Chilean was composed of Lu Muyan's fire elemental energy condensation, which consumed a lot of her spiritual energy. She discovered that she could only barely construct this array but couldn't utilize its full powers. However, it was more than enough to deal with this golden giant. She took out a few bottles of spiritual energy replenishing pills and poured them into her mouth to devour and refine. Such a move made the lips of those watching the battle twitch. Those weren't candy, those were pills. Could you not be so extravagant? When the spiritual energy in her body returned to its peak state, the array flag in Lu Muyan's hand shook a few times. It'll let you deeply understand what's called 5 elements mutual inhibition. After she finished speaking, she channeled spiritual energy into the array flag. The array flag flew up into the sky and landed over the array, slowly unfolding. The black cloth flag exuded a faint soft light, and a layer of a jade-colored rune belt wound around the black flagpole continuously. Feeling the soft light above, it was as if the fire Chilean had been channeled with life force. It roared a few times before raising its claws and rushed towards the golden giant. If it weren't for the body composed of flames, the movements and form would be indistinguishable between real or fake. Although the golden giant felt a slight tremor of fear towards the fire Chilean, but he didn't show any signs of cowering. He raised his giant palm and slapped towards the fire Chilean. The fire Chilean didn't dodge. After the palm slapped down, its body actually scattered inch by inch. Everyone watching the battle was very shocked. The fire Chilean rushed forward filled with valor and vigor, but lost just like this? Then the body that shattered inch by inch turned into fire lotuses, and the petals bloomed one by one, giving people a very bewitching, devilish feeling. After the fire lotuses bloomed, the array flag above waved spontaneously. The fire lotuses merged together again, turning into the appearance of a Chilean divine beast once more. More importantly, this time, its size and pressure were even larger and stronger. In this way, the golden giant kept smashing the fire Chilean. The fire Chilean would scatter and combine without stopping, then eventually began to take the initiative to pounce onto the golden giant and bite down. Around a cup of tea's time passed, and there were many pits and hollows on the golden giant's body that had been bitten and corroded by the fire Chilean. After all, the golden giant was transformed from Yizhao's body as the foundation with the support from the secret skill, so each time a piece was bitten off, some bloodstains would appear in that place. After another quarter of an hour, the golden giant had been torn open by the fire Chilean in many places, and he couldn't stop shrieking. Lu Muyan knew that the perfect time had come. She formed a Taoist seal with her hands, snapped her fingers, and a jade-colored rune seal one the size of a palm merged into the fire Chilean. The fire Chilean didn't combine again in the last resistance of the golden giant. Just when everyone was curious, the scattered lotus petals fell off piece by piece as if they were withering. The crimson petals fluttered and fell everywhere. Many people couldn't help but admire the scenery made from fire elemental energy condensation. Only the golden giant's pupils constricted, and he turned around without hesitating, wanting to run away. The petals in the air were as if they had already known, and the pieces flew down and melted into his body. Shrills after shrills of screaming rang out. The sound was no longer the same metallic feel it was before, but instead it was precisely Yizhao's voice. The shrill cries grew louder and louder, making countless sword masters' scalps numb from the sound, with chills on their backs. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks. In the end, all the petals fell and enveloped the golden-colored giant. It was impossible to see just what happened to the person under the petals. The clusters of flames that emerged from the earth leapt around and finally turned into a red light, entering the golden giant's body. The screams gradually weakened. Then, everyone watched the raging fire ignite on the golden giant, melting it little by little. This array is so terrifying. Most of the sword masters standing on the city wall originally didn't know this was an array created by Lu Mu Yen, and only realized when the array flag appeared. The sword master standing beside him took a long time to recover and said, "The person controlling the array is actually the terrifying one, all right? How's she terrifying? She's obviously such a beautiful woman capable of causing the downfall of a kingdom. I'm talking about her strength being terrifying, not her appearance." Finally, in the central area under the city wall, everyone watched the fire gradually diminish. Lu Mu Yen narrowed her eyes, and with a thought, the jade rune that had been inserted into the fire qilin turned into a very thin rune belt and wrapped around the pure gold token, dragging it underground. Then, the token was temporarily swallowed by Xue Xue, who had long been waiting underground. In such a series of transfers, apart from the otherworldly-looking, handsome man in white in the castle that discovered it, even the elders of the 6 major sects didn't realize it. The white-clothed man curled his lips. His woman was indeed smart. After the golden giant on the ground disappeared, Lu Mu Yen waved her hand, and the black array flag above flew into her hands. After putting away the array flag, she snapped her fingers and the burning flames disappeared in an instant completely, as if it had never appeared before. Except for a pile of ashes on the ground, there was no more of the figure of the golden giant Izhao. Lu Mu Yen didn't walk near that place either. She closed her eyes and flipped her jade hands. The bright yellow seeds that were buried deep in the ground and the seed hidden within that carried a slightly golden light returned to her hands. She didn't remain any longer and walked into the city as if taking a leisurely stroll in a courtyard. The rooms in the inns were already full, so she went straight to the resting area on the city wall to meditate and recover. "Yenner, are you all right?" Lu Mu Bai asked with concern in his eyes. Lu Mu Yen smiled lightly and said, "I'm fine, but it seems we won't be able to head out tonight. The elemental law contained in the golden color of the golden giant was too strong. It seemed as if she didn't take much effort to destroy it, but it actually consumed a lot of spiritual energy and vitality. This time, she needed a day off to recover. You can recover at ease." Yun Ziamo said with a light smile and went to meditate not far away to guard her. Seeing this, the several other people also sat cross-legged around her to prevent others from coming to find trouble. But they didn't know that the sword masters in this city had long been stunned by Lu Mu Yan's methods. They were just afraid that while she looked like a docile rabbit, she would then suddenly turn into a powerful, terrorizing tigress. As if they dared to go up to offend. The elders of the 6 major sects in the castle had different expressions, and they all had their own little plans in their minds. But the desire for Lu Mu Yen to enter their own sects not only didn't weaken, but instead strengthened. Except, during the competition, they weren't allowed to appear outside. So, when they left, they all used special methods to contact some of the predetermined students in the competition space. Because the city where the battle took place was a medium-sized city, and it was a battle before nightfall, so many sword masters who came to take refuge saw the battle between the 2 teams. Lu Mu Yan's battle this time was spread by the sword masters who watched the battle in the city through various means. Her name spread to every city in the competition space and became the object of discussion among many sword masters. This time, even if she wanted to keep a low profile, she wouldn't be able to do it. One fight to fame was just like this, crazy, domineering, and proud. Come true. Chapter 197. The pure gold token had a secret. The spiritual energy in Lu Mu Yan's body had practically been exhausted, and her spirit was also a little sluggish. She took out a few bottles of spiritual energy replenishing pills and took them, causing many sword masters in the resting area to twitch their lips irresistibly again. How many bottles of pills did this woman have? Was it really good to waste so luxuriously? The fragrance of the pills overflowed from the bottle and lingered in the entire resting area. The sword masters who were resting and meditating next to them opened their eyes one after another, just wishing to snatch the pill bottle from her so that she wouldn't waste it like this. Only after Lu Mu Yen took a few bottles of spiritual energy replenishing pills was the emptied spiritual energy replenished by a lot. The effect of grade 2 spiritual energy replenishing pills to replenish spiritual energy for her had already weakened a lot. It seemed that she had to find the Sea Serene herb to refine the Grade 3 spiritual energy return pill. Discovering that the eyes that were looking at her were too scorching, she decided that it was best to find an inn to live in when it was dawn. But before dawn, a pained cry from Xue Xue sounded in her sea of consciousness. "Owner, I can't take it anymore." Lu Mu Yen asked in confusion, "What, you can't take anymore?" "The metal attribute of the token you had me swallow is too strong. My demonic energy is not only suppressed by it, but I even feel that the wood spiritual force in my body is slowly drained." Xue Xue's voice was slightly hoarse. Lu Mu Yen opened her eyes abruptly. Now wasn't an appropriate time to take the token out in front of so many people to examine it. She stood up and said to Yun Zmo and the others, "I want to go wash up, let's go to an inn to stay." It was almost dawn now and there wouldn't be any more demonic beast groups appearing. Many sword masters had already packed up and left to earn points, so the inns would also have free rooms. The several people didn't know why she was so sudden, but none of them asked, and they all stood up and left the resting area together. In fact, Lu Mu Yan's scruples were correct. After they went to the city wall resting area after the battle, many sword masters went to the battle area as if to look for something. The pile of ashes on the ground was also turned over countless times before finally being scattered by the wind. Even the elders of the 6 major sects had been monitoring the battle area, only to withdraw their attention when they found that the pure gold token that Yi Zhao fused with couldn't be found. Those who coveted the pure gold token guessed that it was either merged together with Yi Zhao or was burned to ashes by Lu Mu Yan's elemental energy flame, which was a pity. Many people saw that Lu Mu Yen and the others didn't take anything with them before leaving, not even the enemy's interspatial ring, so the sword masters who were rummaging for things also wanted the interspatial rings of the few that died along with the golden token. But they were doomed to have searched in vain. At this time, many sword masters left the inn and went out of the city, so they also successfully found a few vacant rooms. Lu Mu Yen addressed the other people, then went into her room and set up a spirit-proof array to isolate all sounds and mental energy from entering and disturbing. With a thought, Xue Xue appeared in the room. The humanized face on his trunk was currently filled with a pained expression. "Owner, it's so uncomfortable, I can't spit out that token anymore." Lu Mu Yan's eyes narrowed and she placed her hands on Xue Xue. When she found the location of the pure gold token, she forced it out with her spiritual energy. While holding the token, she didn't withdraw her hand, but instead operated her dantian and channeled slivers of spiritual energy with the green fog into the human-eating blood thorn vine king's body. The golden body that had dimmed a lot gradually regained its luster and many soft shoots grew on his body. Such channeling lasted around more than 2 hours. Only when her spiritual energy was about to be exhausted did she withdraw her hand. Xue Xue moved his vines comfortably, and it was a lie to say that he wasn't touched. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks. After Lu Mu Yen took out the token, she didn't check it immediately, but instead used the pure spiritual energy in her body to heal his wounds. Now he wasn't only healed, but the bottleneck that he was stuck at just collapsed, and he successfully advanced to middle phase tier 6. Of course, to be able to advance so quickly, aside from Lu Mu Yan's special spiritual energy, it was also inseparable from the recent absorption of large amounts of blood essence. "Owner!" Xue Xue waved his vines to hug Lu Mu Yen and even wanted to rub his head against her like Bing Ji did. "Go over there to consolidate your cultivation base." Lu Mu Yen rolled her eyes at him and immediately waved away his vines. Why did all her spirit pets besides Mo Yen like to rub against her? Then Xue Xue found that both Bing Ji and Mo Yen were throwing a look of cold knives at him. He swallowed and moved his rhizome to a corner to consolidate his cultivation, cursing the two beasts over and over inwardly. Both desirable shoulders of Owner were occupied by the two beasts, and all he wanted was to get close to Owner, yet they tossed cold gazes at him. They were truly hateful. "Mo Yen, do you think this is a token to open someplace?" Lu Mu Yen flipped over the pure gold token, just feeling that it wasn't that simple and was hiding some kind of secret. There was a smile in Mo Yan's light eyes. Although I don't know what place this token opens, but it's definitely worthy entering." "Even you don't know where?" Lu Mu Yen raised an eyebrow. Don't know. It's not like I'm familiar with Tianling continent. He wasn't as familiar with this small interface as Lu Mu Yen was, who had read the continental records. Seeing her think deeply, he continued in a light tone. It could be a secret realm, it could be an inheritance place, or it could also be a secret space somewhere. Either way, any such places had endless benefits. Lu Mu Yen played with the pure gold token in her hand. She keenly found that there was an array in it, and it was also a very advanced array. But because her mental energy hadn't yet woken up to be able to probe into it, she could only temporarily give up. Although the array methods of this continent weren't as comprehensive as those she had, but there were also many that she hadn't seen before, just like the image reflection array that Mo Yen spoke of that day. A desire to explore also rose in her heart. The metal element in this token even made Shui Shui unable to stand it. I sure am really looking forward to the day it will actually be used. She put away the pure gold token, and there was just a feeling in her heart that she would use it one day. Mo Yen glanced at the human-eating blood thorn vine king in the corner who was consolidating his cultivation and spit out some words, "Too weak." Shui was still soaking in the excitement of having advanced, but when he suddenly heard Boss Yan's words, it was instantly like a bucket of cold water was poured over him, and whatever passion was all gone. Shui is a weak chicken to begin with. Bingji was rarely able to watch someone else's joke. Mo Yen looked askance at him. His combat power right now is no weaker than yours. Bingji chalked. Well, for me, isn't it all because my demonic energy was sealed by Owner's Man, so how can I compare to that weak chicken? You, a tier 8 demonic beast, was even one stage higher than that person's cultivation base, yet you still had your demonic energy sealed. You sure aren't embarrassed to say it. Mo Yen snorted coldly. It really was losing the face of divine beasts. Well, that man's just an abnormal monster after all. When you fight him one day, you'll know. When mentioning the battle that day, he still felt a chill in his heart. It would be best not to provoke that man in the future anymore. Shui had a face of grievance. This was basically getting stabbed even when he was lying down minding his own business. Lu Mu Yen rolled her eyes at Bingji. What did he mean by her man? Then she watched the two beasts bicker in amusement. She was also very curious about how Ming Xiu defeated Bingji that day. Each time this stinky bird mentioned the events of that day, it was like he still had lingering fears. Come true. 1A slight change to the popular colloquial saying/internet slang in China, literally translating to get shot by a gun, even when lying down. Basically meaning to be implicated in something by just being there while minding their own business. Obviously guns don't quite exist in this world, so knives it is. Chapter 198. Dividing the spoils and intercepting. Having channeled her purest spiritual energy in her body to the human-eating blood thorn vine king, she only recovered a little more than half when night arrived, so they didn't set out that night. The next day, Lu Mu Yen was still recovering. She continuously absorbed the spiritual force of heaven and earth from all directions. The bottleneck at peak phase Sword King had appeared, and as long as an opportunity came, she could advance to Sword Monarch. After entering Sword Monarch, the condensed fire elemental energy would be even purer, and she would be able to refine several grade 3 pills. Seeing Lu Mu Yen was still cultivating, Lu Mu Bai and the others didn't disturb her either and instead helped Lu Mu Yen sweep up the spiritual herbs and spars in the city. The battle performance of the few people the other day wasn't bad either, especially Lu Mu Bai and Yun Zimo's combat power, who made many sword masters of the same rank afraid, so they received a lot of attention wherever they went recently. We've also become famous under Lu Mu Yan's light. Fu Chen knew that the reputation of their team had spread to many cities already, plus the skyrocketing points, so there was probably no one in the competition space who didn't know the name Lu Mu Yen. Yun Zimo also found that this time, after coming to participate in the Continental Tournament for Hegemony, his indifferent temperament had also changed a lot. As long as we follow her, there definitely wouldn't be any peaceful times, but such days aren't bad either. He used to only know how to meditate and cultivate or travel to dangerous places with few people to train, but he was very lonely. Now, although he very often might lose his life, but it made him feel very fulfilled. That's true. Either way, we didn't come in vain. Fu Chen smiled elegantly, his bookish aura still very strong. After returning to the inn, the several people were called into the room by Lu Mu Yen. She took out a pot of spiritual wine made from blood thorn vines and poured a glass for each of them. Then she raised her glass and said with a smile, "Congratulate us beforehand in advancing into the top 10. Yun Zmo and the others didn't disappoint either, and they smiled, catering to her. They thought it was very likely for Lu Mu Yen to make it into the top 10, while their goal was more realistic, and that was to advance to the top 100. We're really lucky to have formed a team with you, Lu Mu Yen. Not only do we have pills to use, but we can also drink a cup of this kind of good wine every day. It sure was worth coming here this time." Fu Chen took a sip of spiritual wine from his cup, sighing with emotion. He sometimes even wondered if this woman had anything she couldn't do. "That's true, you will have meat to eat if you follow this young Mississippi." Lu Mu Yen raised an eyebrow and smiled, saying. Lu Mu Bai looked at her in amusement. "You sure aren't humble. Why would we have meat to eat if we follow you?" "Dividing the spoils, of course." Lu Mu Yen blinked mischievously like a thief at the several people. "You can have meat to eat now." "Dividing the spoils?" The several people looked at her in confusion. Lu Mu Yen spread out her palm in high spirits and 6 interspatial rings appeared in the sight of the several people. "Aren't these the interspatial rings of those people from the EC Empire?" Yun Lan looked at the rings in her hand with a smile of understanding in his eyes. "No wonder those people searched the place where we were fighting over and found nothing, so it turned out that you had secretly taken them away. They went up to the city wall first, and after battling, they went to the resting area with Lu Mu Yen. None of them had any awareness of taking the other party's interspatial rings at all. After all, the few of them had never done something like killing and seizing others' treasures. It was only later, when they heard that many people were looking for the lost rings, did they realize how could they have forgotten about it. In the world of sword masters, there was a tacit rule. After killing the opponent, the spoils belonged to oneself. After you all left, I got Shue to hide in the ground and took away all the spoils. Of course I can't benefit others." Lu Mu Yen said to the several people, "How about we divide the contents of the ring equally? You can take an extra share. If you hadn't killed the prince of the EC Empire, we might not have one." Yun Zmo suggested, "Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site." Thanks, the power of the Golden Giant wasn't something they could resist at all. Without Lu Mu Yen, they wouldn't be able to retreat completely against Yizhao at all. "Yeah, you should get an extra share." The others echoed. Lu Mu Yen had a smile on her lips. She was quite satisfied with the characters of the people in this team. No one was too selfish. "You don't need to give me an extra share. How about you just give me the spiritual herbs in these?" The spirit tools and things like that just weren't up to her standards, and she didn't lack money either. When she left Luoshi City, she made a lot of money by selling 2 Tier 5 demonic beasts to the Yi clan's Spurt pet shop, otherwise it would have been impossible for her to sweep up every city she passed by. Sure, then that's decided. After night fell, the several people set out from the city and continued their journey at night. Watching Lu Mu Yen and the others leave, many sword masters in the city spread the news. I was just saying how their points could skyrocket so much, so it turned out that they set out at night. They really aren't afraid of death. A sword master who passed them by while entering the city to rest said with a sour tone. The person next to him smiled. "If I had their combat ability, I'd also take the night road." Don't say that grapes are sour just because you couldn't eat them one. Tisk, who's sour? I was just expressing my thoughts and feelings. After all, they may not even be able to escape a beast tide even if their combat ability is good. Their points have been skyrocketing for almost half a month now. Maybe they already encountered a beast tide. In any case, it only shows that the strength of these people is indeed not as it appears on the surface. That woman named Lu Mu Yen is probably the dark horse in the first round of this competition. I'm also optimistic about her too. It's hard to say. After all, rumors are just rumors. We didn't personally see her fight the elite team of the EC Empire. We'll only know at the end of the competition. Such discussions about the few people could be heard all over the city, but many people scoffed at the rumors of the battle, thinking that these people were exaggerating. It was pretty good already that a peak phase sword king could kill a middle phase sword monarch, and maybe they even used some despicable means. How could it be as exaggerated as the rumors say? Mo Yen, look for a smaller medium-sized beast tide and let's kill it. After leaving the city, Lu Mu Yen said. Small-sized beast tides were no longer difficult for them now, and also lost value for training and experience. Only in constantly dangerous battles could they improve their strength. Mo Yen nodded, closed his eyes, and released his demonic sense instantly. After a while, he opened his eyes and said, a medium-sized beast tide is currently gathering about 2 hours to the south, and they should be preparing to attack the city. If we arrive late, they might have already started attacking the city. Let's ride on Bingji to intercept it. The corners of Lu Mu Yan's lips curled up. They only meet such a large fish every few nights, so they couldn't possibly let it go. All right. Yun Zmo and the others also revealed slight smiles, filled with fighting intent. Sitting on Bingji, it took only a quarter of an hour to arrive at the place where the beast tide gathered. As soon as they landed, the several people rushed into the beast tide, brandishing their swords. Shue Shue shouted excitedly and fell in the central area to take root and prepare to suck to his fill. The few people fought heartily in the beast tide, but the people who had been waiting for a long time in the nearest city weren't so happy. Didn't young Lord predict that there will be a beast tide coming tonight? Why can't we even see a shadow of one? Come true one means to say something is bad just because they can't have it themselves. To describe someone who is very envious of others. Chapter 199. Flipping face is faster than flipping a book. Didn't young Lord predict that there will be a beast tide attacking tonight? Why can't we even see a shadow of one? There were many people standing on the city wall of the large city, led by a man in silver clothes with eyes as clean as moonlight. He stood against the wind, his handsome face very calm. Hearing someone ask the question below, he stretched out his hand and pinched his fingers to calculate, then said slowly, the beast tide was intercepted by someone. His voice was clean and warm, clear and pleasant. What? Was intercepted by someone? A red-haired young man beside him asked, eldest brother, who can intercept a beast tide? The silver-clothed man pondered for a moment and said, Lu Mu Yen. Lu Mu Yen? Is that the woman who was rumored to be amazing and seemingly divine? The red-haired young man's tone didn't question it, but he didn't quite believe it inwardly either. I received news tonight that their team came out of the refuge city to travel at night. It seems to be true. Another slightly older man said. In addition to the silver-clothed man's group, there were teams from many other kingdoms on the city wall as well. They all revealed confusion and disbelief. Even if Lu Mu Yen really had some abilities, it was still impossible to lead her team to battle a beast tide, right? Even Lord Luo here, from a superpower kingdom, probably wouldn't dare provoke a beast tide easily either, so how could a little girl who still smelt of one's mother's milk one dare be so bold? Luo Yi was also a little curious about the woman named Lu Mu Yen. He sure wanted to see just how they intercepted the beast tide. Well, no, once we go and take a look, he said lightly. He flew down the city wall and his figure soon disappeared into the night. The people in the same team didn't hesitate either. They jumped off the city wall and leapt in the direction where Luo Yi had disappeared in. Let's also follow and go have a look. Someone on the city wall suggested. What should we do if we encounter a beast tide? I don't believe that a person from a small kingdom named Lu Mu Yen can really deal with a beast tide. Someone said. What tray you afraid of? Even Lord Luo has gone. Even if we encounter a beast tide, with him there, we can still retreat safely. Another said excitedly. Forget it. When the time comes, we'll only fight for ourselves when we meet a beast tide. Once we're scattered, who'd still take care of who? Some people refused. In the end, only a portion of the sword masters who were bolder jumped off the city wall and followed in the footsteps of Lord Luo and the others. The remaining didn't have any heart to rest either, and stood on the city wall to await for news. When Luo Yi and his team members arrived at a canyon, they saw a scene that shocked them. Hundreds of demonic beasts ahead of them were constantly charging towards a center point as if they didn't want their lives, and several silhouettes kept flashing about, quickly reaping the lives of the demonic beasts. By the moonlight, they saw a woman with a slender figure and ghost-like footwork controlling 10 golden flying swords to fly among the demonic beasts ceaselessly. Wherever the flying swords passed, the roaring demonic beasts would fall one after another. Each sword was deadly, and all the stabs were at their vital points. There were also 5 men in the group of demonic beasts. Although their forms weren't as ghost-like as hers, but their speed in killing demonic beasts wasn't inferior to hers at all. Judging from the level of proficiency, this wasn't the first time they did such a thing at all. Isn't this too exaggerated? The red-haired young man who followed was dumbfounded and watched the woman control the flying swords to kill demonic beasts while bombarding demonic beasts with her fists to death. What was even more shocking was that the Tier 5 demonic beasts, under her fists, couldn't withstand even a single blow, and each slam of a fist killed one. Even when she faced a few leading Tier 6 demonic beasts, she still fought fiercely using her tough flesh, her ink-colored hair flying freely, uninhibited and wild. Although her movements were quite violent, but it actually gave people a pleasing sense of contrast. Was this still a woman? The young man swallowed. Weren't all women supposed to be delicate and beautiful, gentle and pleasant? At least he had never seen such a violent woman before. But why did an indescribable good feeling about her rise in his heart? Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, the women who had appeared in front of him had never been like this before. He actually didn't like those delicate and weak women at all, so he immediately rubbed his chin and looked at the woman in the group of demonic beasts with interest in his eyes. This woman was much more interesting than rumored. Lu Mu Yen had long known that people were approaching after Mo Yan's reminder, so Xue Xue had already been recollected by her, and Bingji had also returned to the appearance of a 7-colored parrot. When the strangers arrived, they were almost at the end of their slaughter. After all, Xue Xue's ability in group fights was simply too strong, and those demonic beasts had no resistance at all drained of blood essence by him. Lord Luo, should we go help? The sword masters of the other kingdoms who followed were also shocked by the scene in front of them, but seeing that there were still 100 or so demonic beasts that hadn't been killed yet, it also raised in them a feeling to rush in and snatch some killings. Luo Ye's expression was very light and indifferent, and he didn't have any intention to open his mouth to answer. The red-haired young man standing beside him turned his head to glance at the man and said with ridicule, "Do you think they need help?" These people wanted to use his eldest brother to snatch the other party's demonic beasts. They were truly indulging in the wildest fantasy. The man shocked, and seeing that Lord Luo had no intention of doing anything at all, he smiled in embarrassment, then stepped back and stopped talking. Facing the red-haired young boy who's from a superpower kingdom, as well as Lord Luo's younger brother, he didn't dare provoke him at all. The red-haired young man snorted and turned his head to continue to watch Lu Mu Yen fight. A quarter of an hour later, the last 100 demonic beasts fell to the ground and died, and the corpses of demonic beasts surrounded Lu Mu Yen, who stood in the center, spreading 100 meters. Lu Mu Yan's technique was accurate, fast, and ruthless. Each time she killed, she headed straight towards the position of the demonic beast crystal core, so the crystal cores of the demonic beasts she had killed were all taken away. Yun Zmo and the others didn't have movement skills like her, so only after the group of beasts had all died did they start to clean up, while Xue Xue hid underground, stretching his vines to quietly suck blood essence. "Have you all seen enough?" Lu Mu Yen saw that the group didn't reveal any greedy actions of snatching from them after arriving, but after they finished watching the show, they still didn't leave, so she couldn't resist asking lightly. Luo Yi turned to look at her, and an ethereal and clear voice poured out from his lips, "Excuse us for disturbing, miss." Lu Mu Yen was dazed for a moment. She didn't expect the other party to be so polite. Most importantly, the other party's voice sounded so nice. One must know that she was a complete sound con too. She couldn't help but feel an uncontrollable closeness towards that kind of clean and nice voice. Also, because of the other person's voice, she developed an inexplicable favorable opinion for that handsome and unparalleled man opposite. When she raised her eyes to meet those pure crystal-like eyes, however, Lu Mu Yen was stunned. It sure was a pity that someone with such a nice voice was blind. She couldn't help but sigh slightly. No problem. She could see that the other party was blind, but she didn't know whether it was from birth or because of a disease. They were strangers that met by chance, so it was naturally impossible for her to take the initiative to inquire and treat him simply because the other party's voice was nice. Why is Miss sighing? Luo Ye's voice was gentle and slow, as clear as spring water. Lu Mu Yen glanced at him lightly and said, "Just feeling that it was a pity, so I sighed." "Pity what?" the red-haired young man asked curiously. Lu Mu Yen glanced at him, and her attitude took a big turn. "What does this have to do with you?" The young man was startled and didn't know whether to cry or laugh. How could this woman flip her face faster than flipping a book? Come true 1, an idiom describing someone who's still young and inexperienced. 2, people who like people whose voices sound really pleasing. This word takes its own spin from the word, Meikong, sister complex aka Siskon, that Lu Mu Yan's elder twin brother, Lu Mu Ting has and the word, Kong, is basically the loan word from Japanese. The one used here is, Shinkong. If you search this up, it actually means something like sound control, to do with music and sounds etc. But in this case, it's sound con/complex. There's also appearance con/complex, Yen Kong, which, rather obviously, means people who love good looks. Chapter 200. Returning to the city together, Lu Mu Yan's attitude towards the red-haired young man surprised the sword masters who followed. Wasn't this woman too bold? Didn't she know that offending the elite team of a superpower kingdom would make her miserable? "Do you have anything else?" Lu Mu Yen asked, looking at the red-haired young man. She didn't dislike this young man, but when she saw the interest in his eyes while he looked at her, her attitude became a little colder. Unexpectedly, the people behind these several people all revealed a look of "you're done for." And she knew right then that the identity of the red-haired young man and the blind man was definitely not simple. "You're Lu Mu Yen?" The red-haired young man didn't get angry because of her answer just now, and instead folded his arms around a purple longsword, saying with great interest, "By the way, let me introduce myself first. We're from Rongzi Kingdom, and my name is Luo Li." Lu Mu Yen smiled, polite and distant. "Lu Mu Yen of Yanzhou Kingdom. Pleasure to meet you." She had never felt ashamed of coming from a small kingdom like Yanzhou Kingdom, so when others proudly reported their kingdom's name, she wasn't outdone. "If there's nothing that's the matter, then we'll take our leave first. Goodbye everyone." Although Lu Mu Yen didn't know much about the kingdoms participating in the continental tournament for hegemony when she just arrived, but she had obtained a lot of useful information from the news she had recently inquired about in many cities. At least she knew that there was a total of 5 superpower kingdoms participating in this competition, including Rongzi Kingdom, and this person they called Lord Luo from the superpower kingdom was also one of the top 3 favorites who could potentially take first place. The young man said his name was Luo Li, and he looked a bit similar to the blind man, so it wasn't difficult to deduce that the blind man was the legendary Lord Luo. Most importantly, judging from the current situation, apart from Luo Li, no one should know that his eyes were actually blind. What do superpower kingdoms and Lord Luo represent? Maybe in the eyes of others, it represented the object of flattery and people who couldn't be provoked, but to her, it meant trouble. "Are you going to enter the city?" Luo Li naturally heard Lu Mu Yan's meaning through her words. She didn't want to entangle with them too much. But it was precisely because of this that he thought she was even more interesting. Usually, whether in their own kingdom or in the competition space, which female sword master who saw them didn't cater to them or was happy to see them. Only this woman revealed a look as if they were trouble and distanced herself from them. It didn't look like she was pretending either. The sword masters behind Luo Li saw that this person named Lu Mu Yen from a small kingdom was so distanced and indifferent that they felt she was unable to appreciate someone's favors. Or she didn't know the background of Lord Luo and him at all. Otherwise they just didn't believe that she wouldn't flatter them, or at least her attitude wouldn't dare to be so indifferent. Yes. Lu Mu Yen didn't deny it either. Luo Li's lips raised into an arc, handsome and sunny, let's go together. I just so happen to want to ask you a few questions. You just came out and you're going back to the city? Lu Muyan's eyes darkened as she asked with a light smile. How did you know that we only just left the city? Luo Li asked in confusion. When they came, no one said that they had just left the city. Did they possibly not look like they were coming out to hunt at night? How did she know? Lu Muyan replied with a smile, there's a lot of frost and dew at night, but your clothes aren't stained with much dampness at all. Luo Li's eyes lit up. It seemed that this woman was also intelligent aside from being violent. But that was about right. If her limbs were developed but her mind was simple, she wouldn't have been able to live until now. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks, my eldest brother originally predicted that there would be a beast tide coming tonight. We waited for a long time but didn't even see a shadow of one. He then predicted that someone intercepted it ahead of time, so we came to see who blocked the beast tide we were waiting for. Luo Li didn't conceal the truth either and spoke straightforwardly, wanting to see how Lu Muyan would react. A somewhat surprised look perfectly appeared on Lu Muyan's face, but she didn't have any awareness of having stolen other people's things. Beast tides were ownerless to begin with. Whoever killed them first got to earn the points first. So it turns out that the arrival of a beast tide can also be predicted. That sure is amazing. Lu Muyan smiled casually. Let's go, didn't you want to go together? She found that the other party didn't have any killing intent and going together was nothing. She was indeed not afraid of any force, but she wasn't an idiot either who would deliberately offend people from superpower kingdoms. The young man had questions to ask her, and she naturally could also extract some useful information from the young man's mouth. After all, there wasn't much core information from Yanzhou Kingdom and the small refuge cities. Luo Li didn't expect her to be so refreshing all of a sudden again and nodded, sure. Luo Ye's eyes were indifferent and clean. His eyes couldn't see, but his heart was like a clear mirror. This woman had no ill intention towards Luo Li, and he also wasn't bothered to care about it either. He still somewhat appreciated her temperament and the strength she revealed. Yun Zmo and the others didn't have the disorderly feel when they dealt with beast tides at the beginning. Now, they were not only experienced and highly proficient, but they also formed a regular set of patterns when dealing with demonic beast corpses and were very fast. Hearing that Lu Muyan would return to the city with Rongzi Kingdom sword masters, there was no objection, and they followed behind with different expressions. Lu Muyan, I heard that you all spend the day resting in the city and travel and earn points at night? Luo Li had been scoffing at the rumors he heard before, but after seeing the performance of the few people in the group of beasts today, he had to believe it. There are too few demonic beasts during the day and the points increase too slowly. Lu Muyan replied. Luo Li took out a dark purple jade tablet and looked at the points rankings, then said with some confusion, your ranking is already in the top 50. Lu Muyan's face was indifferent, and there wasn't a trace of excitement or joy at all. Aren't you happy? In Luo Li's understanding, a small kingdom sword master should be very excited to have advanced into the top 50 in the first round, but why was this woman still so calm, as if she didn't care at all? Lu Muyan let out a soft laugh. Are you happy to be in the top 50? I don't think there's anything to be proud of. Her current ranking was 49th, which meant that there were 48 people still ahead of her who she needed to surpass. There was nothing to be excited and proud of. She had long been trained to be calm and composed when facing honor or disgrace, so even if she advanced into the top 10 of the preliminary competition, she wouldn't feel that she was that great. There were mountains higher than other mountains. This was the experience she had gathered from countless dangers in the immortal cultivation world. Luo Li choked. This woman didn't look like a 16-year-old at all. He had only seen such calmness in very few people, and he became more and more interested in Lu Muyan. Do you often encounter beast tides at night? Not only did Luo Li care about this question, but other sword masters also raised their ears to listen. They were also very excited about the strategy of resting during the day and hunting at night to earn points. After all, seeing Lu Muyan advance to the top 50 from her initial 1,000th in rankings on the standings, they all knew the benefits of traveling at night. But they were worried about encountering beast tides. If they encountered small beast tides, their team could still handle it, but if they encountered a medium-sized beast tide, it would be difficult to escape, and if they encountered a large-sized beast tide, then they could practically only wait for death. Otherwise, how do you think my points could advance so quickly? Lu Mu Yen asked instead. Seeing Lord Luo's expression was still the same, a coldness in his handsomeness as he walked in front, she then looked at Luo Li, who had an expression of interest and a sunny disposition. The two brothers' personalities sure were as different as heaven and earth. Chapter 201. The difficulty of entering the top 10. The night was dark, and a full moon hung in the sky as the evening wind blew lightly. After listening to Lu Mu Yan's words, Luo Li continued to ask, "But have you never encountered a large beast tide?" "No. If we encountered a large beast tide, what you see right now might just be my corpse." Lu Mu Yan joked. Naturally, she wouldn't reveal Mo Yan's abilities. "You guys are so lucky," Luo Li said with a smile. But most of the large beast tides gathering in the competition space are generally near the core city or larger cities. It's natural that you haven't encountered them before. The refuge city ahead is a large city, right? Lu Mu Yan asked. Luo Li nodded and reminded, "After passing this city, I suggest you don't travel at night. On this road to the next large city, there will not only be frequent beast tides at night, but there may also be large-sized beast tides." Thank you for the reminder. Lu Mu Yan wasn't really afraid of large-sized beast tides. After all, she had the human-eating blood-thorn vine king and the other spirit pets. She knew just how powerful they were at group killings. But large-sized beast tides were generally led by Tier 7 demonic beasts, which were a little bit troublesome. However, if her cultivation base advanced to Sword Monarch, then she would have the ability to fight against Tier 7 demonic beasts and not lose. It seemed that it was still urgent to improve her strength. "No need to be so polite." Luo Li smiled. "You have all been hunting and waiting for demonic beasts in the large city ahead to earn points?" Lu Mu Yan began to ask instead. Luo Li replied, Teams from many kingdoms who come to participate in the competition will stay in one city for a period of time before changing to another city." "How long have you been at this city?" "It's been almost a month. We're going to chance cities in the next few days." The demonic beasts in the mountains nearby were all practically hunted by them, plus there was the issue of time, so they should change. "Is there anything we need to pay attention to if we want to stay in a city for a long time?" Lu Mu Yan continued to ask. "Just don't mess with large kingdoms that occupy the city. Generally, a large city would be occupied by the teams of large kingdoms or a superpower kingdom. Sword masters from other kingdoms can enter, but if they dare to snatch and kill demonic beasts, their result is usually death." Luo Li said. "Then don't all the points in the latter stage fall into the hands of the large kingdoms and superpower kingdoms? Not allowing other kingdoms to snatch and kill demonic beasts, then other kingdoms couldn't earn points at all." Luo Li knew that Lu Mu Yan was from a small kingdom, so she didn't know a lot of rules, and since his impression of her was pretty good, he explained a little. Each time, the top 100 of the Tianling Continent Tournament for Hegemony are basically teams from large kingdoms and superpower kingdoms. It's particularly prominent in the first round of the competition. This is because everyone tacitly follows this sort of domineering and forceful principle, maintaining unified interests. Luo Li bluntly told her, this was precisely the self-confidence that the people of superpower kingdoms were born with. He didn't intend to show off in front of Lu Mu Yan, only telling her a fact and law of survival. It's like this every time? There hasn't been a single small or medium-sized kingdom that broke through. Lu Mu Yan asked, remaining indifferent. Isn't not that there haven't been, but very rare. Every few tournaments, there'd be one or two dark horse teams who will appear and squeeze into the top 100. Luo Li added, but since the start of the Continental Tournament for Hegemony, only 2 sword masters from medium and small kingdoms have entered the top 10 in the finals, but neither have ranked among the top 5. At this time, Lu Mu Yan also understood how difficult it was to be in the top 10 in every round of the competition. Their medium and small kingdoms weren't only facing one team from a large kingdom or superpower kingdom, but they had to face them all. However, being difficult didn't mean that she would shrink back. Her temperament had always been to grow more courageous the more she battled. The more challenging something was, the more motivation and the more interesting it was. No? Are there alliances between medium and small-sized kingdoms? If there were tacit agreements between large kingdoms, then teams from small and medium kingdoms should also have alliances. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks, Luo Li replied with a smile. Naturally there is, but there are many small and medium-sized kingdoms who will choose to rely on the large kingdoms in the end to ensure that they won't be at the bottom of the final ranking sprint. What's your goal? Luo Li just felt that she wouldn't limit herself to the 49th place. Lu Muyan's lips curled into a confident and dazzling smile. Top 10. Hearing her words, many sword masters revealed a look as if saying she had overrated herself. They didn't deny that this young girl's strength was indeed ranked in the upper reaches, but she was indulging in the wildest fantasy to want to compete with the elite teams of superpower kingdoms and large kingdoms. Luo Ye's footsteps paused, then continued to move forward. Their speed wasn't as fast as when they came, but it wasn't slow either. He didn't look down on Lu Muyan's goal or laugh at her for being overly ambitious. In his eyes, sword masters who didn't dare to think and didn't dare to do would never become one of the strong. Lu Muyan already possessed the temperament and ability that a strong person should possess. If there were no accidents, then she would certainly be the dark horse of this session. Then I wish you success. Luo Li was startled, then a smile spread across his lips and there was no contempt in his words. This woman truly dared to think. As someone who came from a superpower kingdom, he also had the thought of competing for the top 10, but the goal he had set for himself was only to advance into the top 20. He didn't feel Lu Muyan's thought was naive. One only dared to do if they dared to think it. On this point, the two brothers' thoughts were the same. Thank you. After chatting with Luo Li for so long, Lu Muyan's impression of him also became much better. This young man had a pure heart, but wasn't stupid, nor did he possess arrogance or the hedonistic problems of considering everyone and everything beneath him. This was the upbringing and demeanor of a genius pupil raised in a distinguished clan of superpower kingdoms. The two chatted a little more, and Lu Muyan learnt of many unheard-of news from him, including the situation of the other 4 superpower kingdoms teams. Walking towards the front of the city, Lu Muyan saw many people standing on the city wall, their eyes all on her. She furrowed her brows and ignored it. It was probably because of the beast tide that they paid more attention to her. Well, go to the resting area to rest. Well, bid farewell now. Lu Muyan said with a smile to Luo Li after walking into the city. At this time, the inns wouldn't have any vacant rooms. Large cities might not even have any rooms available during the day either. All right. See you again. Luo Li could see that she didn't want to be with them, so he didn't keep them any longer. See you again. Luo Yi, who had been silent the entire time, looked up at Lu Muyan and said slowly, his voice like a spring breeze passing by, soft and gentle. Lu Muyan smiled and said, See you again. After speaking, she, together with Yun Zmo and the others, went straight to the resting areas in the city. While she had her eyes closed, meditating to rest, many people stuck their heads over to observe them, and occasionally even quietly discussed a little. But they didn't dare be presumptuous because they couldn't figure out their relationship with Lord Luo and his party. Mu Yen, do we need to change to traveling during the day tomorrow? Yun Lan asked. Lu Muyan arranged a soundproof array wherever she went. No need. Well, still travel at night. Seeing that they were puzzled, she continued. During the day, the places where the demonic beasts appear are all occupied by large kingdoms. It's not good for us to snatch it forcefully either. At night, with Mo Yen, large beast tides can naturally be avoided. We can only do that. Chapter 202. The killing intent of Schulinger. The night was gradually replaced by day. Morning lights scattered softly, and all the people in the resting area except Lu Muyan and her team went out hunting. This city was a large city, but it was still a lot smaller than the large cities in the central area. Rongza Kingdom who controlled this city weren't domineering either, so they didn't prevent sword masters from hunting demonic beasts nearby to earn points. Of course, after entering the central area, the large cities under the control of superpower kingdoms would no longer allow sword masters of small and medium-sized kingdoms to hunt, so sword masters gathered in this sort of large city the most. Although there was no one in the resting area, but it was still a public place after all, so they still found an inn to stay at. Yenner, you seem to have an unusual attitude towards that Lord Luo. Lu Mubai knew about little sister's disposition. She wouldn't pull a long face towards people she was unfamiliar with, but her attitude would also not be enthusiastic. But he felt that when she faced Lord Luo, she had a gentle expression on her face. Lu Muyan's eyes narrowed into a crescent moon shape as she smiled. There's indeed a difference. The other people looked at her one after another. Could it be that Lu Muyan took a fancy to that Lord Luo? That man's noble temperament could make many people feel ashamed of themselves. His appearance was unparalleled, not to mention his strength, peak phase sword monarch cultivation base. It would indeed be easy for Lu Muyan to fall in love at first sight with such a man. Yun Lan and Qi Xian's eyes dulled slightly, and they were both a little depressed. The distance between them and her was getting larger and larger. Lu Muyan naturally understood what the few people were thinking and said with amusement, "What tray you thinking? I just like his voice." She wasn't the kind of person who could fall in love with someone at first sight. When she first met Ming Xiu, she didn't feel her heart beat for him, though that guy's voice was very devilishly charming and magnetic and was also very nice. It was also an important reason to why she was friendly to him at the beginning. Only after several encounters later, with Ming Xiu's rescues and him defending her, did he gradually leave traces in her heart. Now, she didn't deny that her heart moved for him, so she couldn't possibly be attracted to other men. Voice. The others were puzzled. I have a good impression of anyone with a clean and pleasant voice. It has nothing to do with the relationship between a man and a woman. She only had a good impression of Lord Luo. If she could become friends with him in the future, she would befriend him, but it was impossible for her to feel anything surpassing friendship with him. The few people couldn't resist twitching their eyelids. What kind of weird illness was this? So it turned out that Lu Muyan would also have such times of little willfulness. Then were their voices unpleasant? Don't you think that Lord Luo's voice is ethereal and clean, and very pleasant? Lu Muyan asked, blinking. The several people's impressions of Lord Luo didn't come from his voice, but after hearing Lu Muyan say this, in retrospect, the voice was indeed nice, like a flowing sweet spring, clear and translucent. Indeed it's nice. But we don't have such a hobby. Fu Qin shook his fan, filled with a bookish attitude. I'll go wander around this city later, let's leave at the same time in the evening. Lu Muyan smiled and said. They now had their own experience in killing medium-sized beast tides, so their elemental energy hadn't been completely exhausted and had been replenished last night. After lunch, the several people went shopping in the commercial street in the city. With their current cultivation base, they were capable of inedia, but they just wanted to have the atmosphere when eating. As expected, large cities were different. There were not only a lot of pill stores here, but also a spirit pet store. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, there were many demonic beasts in the competition space, and there were large forces stationed here, so they naturally could also go out of the city to hunt demonic beasts. Therefore, there were many spirit pets of tier 5 and 6 in the spirit pet store, but the price was much more expensive than outside. Lu Muyan went in and casually wandered around but didn't buy anything. She had already helped each of her team members contract a tier 6 spirit pet when encountering medium-sized beast tides, so she naturally wouldn't waste money. Meanwhile, Yun Zmo and the others were shocked when they saw the price of tier 6 spirit pets. Even if their backgrounds were extremely well off back in Yanzhou Kingdom, but even for them, personally, they wouldn't be able to take out this much money to buy it. Thinking of Lu Muyan's fussy and nonchalant attitude when she helped them contract a spirit pet each, they couldn't resist holding their foreheads. Did she know the value of tier 6 demonic beasts at the time? Put away those surprised looks in your eyes. Our goal is to catch a few tier 7 demonic beasts to contract as spirit pets. There seems to be quite a few tier 7 demonic beasts in this space. Lu Muyan's eyes were black and bright. The several people felt speechless. How was it that when she spoke of catching Tier 7 demonic beasts, it was as if she just considered it as playing around? And seeing her look as if she was gearing up to do something eagerly, they all consciously stopped speaking of this matter for fear that she would take them to go block a large beast tide on a whim. After some shopping in the city, Lu Muyan bought several kinds of spiritual herbs for refining grade 3 pills. Although the price was very expensive, but she didn't feel as if her flesh hurt. These spiritual herbs could only grow in this competition space. They couldn't be bought even with money outside. And just after the several people walked out of the pill shop, at the end of the commercial street, several people were watching them leave. The look in the eyes of a woman was filled with dislike and hidden killing intent. Linger, that woman is that Lu Muyan who made a big show on the glacial mountain range? A man who wore fine and splendid robes held a folding fan, looking in the direction that Lu Muyan and the others were leaving in with interest in his eyes. Shui Linger retracted her gaze, with a soft smile on her face. She's precisely Lu Muyan. Not only did she seek the limelight in the glacial mountain range, but there are also voices everywhere discussing her in this competition space. There weren't many emotions that could be heard in her tone when speaking of Lu Muyan, but her words called out that woman as very restless and someone who acted inappropriately. The first time she saw Lu Muyan, she hated her. This sort of hatred continued to deepen over time. A woman from a small kingdom being able to show off like this made her jealous, and also made a strong killing intent rise in her heart. Lu Muyan's growth was too fast, and the Shui clan and Ling clan had already reached the point of incompatibility like fire and water. She must take the opportunity to kill Lu Muyan this time, otherwise she would definitely become a hidden danger to the Shui clan. Seeing the rare interest in the eyes of the seventh prince when he mentioned Lu Muyan, Shui Linger felt even more hate in her heart. Last time, that woman had attracted Yi Qinghan to speak to her so pleasantly, and now with only one glance, she could make this arrogant seventh prince show such an expression. She truly was a vixen. For someone with a deep background like the seventh prince, she also had her ideas. After all, the Shui clan's background and foundation was far inferior to his. If she could climb this big tree, her status in the Shui clan would definitely skyrocket and suppress that good eldest brother down. She clenched her fists and curbed her thoughts. Those men would only be interested in Lu Muyan for a short while. She had her own way of conquering men, and she was still very confident in her own charm. This time, she would not let go of the seventh prince from an elite team of a large kingdom that she was able to cling to. The woman you hate has already discovered us. Mo Yan's voice sounded in Lu Muyan's sea of consciousness. Lu Muyan's eyes were dyed with a bit of coldness as she smiled devilishly. We will have endless fun in the days to come. She had already discovered Shui Linger and her group just now. Although her mental energy was still dormant, but her senses were still sharper than ordinary people. She naturally felt the killing intent from that woman. It seemed that without her attacking, that woman would still take the initiative to send herself to their door. Interesting. Bing Ji shuddered while standing on her shoulder. Owner was up to mischief again. Come true. Chapter 203. Love at First Sight? As night fell, Lu Muyan and the others set out from the city. When they left the city, they happened to meet Luo Li and the others who had just returned from hunting. Lu Muyan, you're still going to travel at night again? Luo Li furrowed his brows and asked after approaching them. He had already explained the situation with the beast tides to this woman, so how could they still choose to travel and hunt at night? Did they really want to die? Lu Muyan also knew that Luo Li was well-intentioned, so she smiled lightly and said, We're very lucky, so we shouldn't encounter a large beast tide. Tonight, there will be a large beast tide along the only path from this city to the next city. Luo Ye's voice sounded slowly. Did you divine that again? Lu Muyan asked. Luo Ye's handsome and clean face revealed a very shallow smile, giving people the feeling of a spring breeze. Yes, so you should stay in the refuge city tonight. The other people of Rongza Empire looked at Luo Yi a little inexplicably. Young Lord didn't seem like someone who liked to meddle in others' business. Lu Mu Yen lowered her eyes, making a pondering gesture, then raised her head and smiled sweetly. Thank you for your warning. But we are still going to continue on our way. You really want points to the point you don't want your life. Luo Li glared at her. Why was this woman so stubborn? Whether I want my life or not, you'll know when we meet again next time. Lu Mu Yan's bright eyes shone with dazzling brilliance, which made Luo Li dazed for a moment. He recovered in an instant and his face was a little hot. This woman's eyes were so sparkling and so beautiful. Good luck to you all. Luo Yi smiled softly and stopped Luo Li, who still wanted to speak. Thank you. Lu Mu Yen nodded with a smile, gave Yun Zimo and the others a look, then headed straight out of the city gate. Luo Yi seemed to have a kind of divination and prediction ability. No wonder he had the ailment of blindness. If he wasn't born like this, then it might be due to a curse. Afterwards, her eyes lit up with burning fighting intent. She might be able to break through the peak phase Sword King bottleneck. Yenner, you want to go block the large beast tide? Lu Mu Bai was a little helpless towards the battle intent in little sister's eyes. How did she grow more and more interested in battling? As long as we kill a large beast tide, my points can advance into the top 30. Lu Mu Yen nodded. Fu Chen rubbed his chin and thought about it, then said, but with our abilities, even with your spirit pets, it'll still be difficult to kill a large-sized beast tide, right? It wasn't that he was afraid to die, but there just weren't any chances of success. Lu Mu Yen curled her lips. They will follow. They? Fu Chen asked. You'll know when the time comes. Lu Mu Yen blinked. At the gate of the city, Luo Li furrowed his brows and asked, Elder brother, does that woman and the others not want their lives anymore? How do you know they don't want their lives? Do you really think they relied on luck for so many nights? Luo Yi replied calmly. You mean to say that they're specifically going for the beast tides? Luo Li finally understood why Lu Mu Yan's eyes looked that scorching and bright. So it was because she heard that his elder brother had divined that a large-sized beast tide would appear. That's why she was so happy. But with just them, can they really block the beast tide? That woman wanted to fight the Tier 7 demonic beast leader at only peak phase Sword King? Her brain must spasmed. And those men are letting her fool around. The more Luo Li said, the more he felt that Lu Mu Yen and the others were going there to kill themselves. Why do you care so much about that Lu Mu Yen? Could it be that you fell for her? A baby-faced man standing behind Luo Li patted him on the shoulder. You don't say, that woman is actually quite flavorful. This was the first time that he had seen such a tough woman, and it was much more pleasing to the eye than those who cried all day long and looked soft and weak. Luo Li was dazed for a moment, then turned his head and glared at him fiercely. Don't speak nonsense, how could I like such a violent woman? Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks. However, Lu Mu Yan's calm and composed figure when killing demonic beasts suddenly rose in his mind, as well as the appearance of her clever and beautiful smiles with those glistening eyes. His heart was slightly hot. Was this like? Shouldn't be. Tisk, look at you with your lovesick look. What else could it be but that you fell for her? The baby-faced man thought to himself when he saw his embarrassed expression. Luo Li couldn't have really fallen in love with Lu Mu Yen, could he? Luo Li snorted coldly. I'm too lazy to care about you. He was just interested in that woman. Love at first sight wouldn't happen to him. Yes, that must be it. Luo Yi sighed slightly. It seemed that the love calamity that younger brother would have to endure should happen because of Lu Mu Yen. His heart that had been as calm as water was now as if a stone was tossed in it. Should he stop it? Elder brother, why don't we follow and have a look? Luo Li looked up and saw that Lu Mu Yen and the others' figures had long disappeared into the night. He couldn't resist saying, I'm just curious how they can stop the large beast tide. Then he explained with a dry laugh. The baby-faced man winked and said with a smile, explaining is concealing. Such a woman indeed made a man's heart move for her easily, especially a man like Luo Li who was always being paid respects to by groups of delicate and gentle women, but in that regard, was still simple and had an obsession with cleanliness. It wasn't impossible to fall in love at first sight when suddenly meeting Lu Mu Yen, A strong woman with an independent and confident personality. Then let's go. Luo Yi closed his eyes. Let everything take the natural course. The others didn't expect that Lord Luo would let Luo Li do as he pleased, but he was the leader, so they wouldn't object to his decision. Elder brother. Luo Li raised his head and looked at Luo Yi. His elder brother usually wasn't one to like minding someone else's business, but today was a little different. Let's also go earn some points. Luo Yi turned around and spoke slowly. There was a bright smile on Luo Li's handsome, vibrant face. That's right, I'm only ranked 3 places higher than that woman right now, so I can't let myself be defeated by her. The several people who were about to enter the city stopped, turned around, and went out the city gate again. Lord Luo, are you leaving the city? He Lianlai asked as he walked over, looking at Luo Yi with a smile. 7th Prince. Luo Yi nodded lightly. He Lianlai didn't go out of the city to hunt today, but instead took Xuelinger and his team to stroll around the city, then went to a nearby waterfall with a beautiful scenery for a tour. He already saw Luo Yi talking to a group of people earlier, and he saw the figure of a woman with them, who looked like Lu Muyen. It was just that the group left quickly. What surprised him was that Luo Yi and his party not only stopped entering the city but were also preparing to leave the city. He wondered if there were any secrets? You're leaving the city this late? Luo Li saw that He Lianlai held a folding fan, wore splendid, creamy, moon-white brocade clothing, with a very carefree and suave attitude, which matched the legendary unrestrained and amorous seed he was known as. We still have something else to do, so well go first. His brows furrowed even more deeply. If they were any later, Lu Muyen and the others' figures wouldn't be able to be seen anymore. He Lianlai didn't want to just let the few people go like this. He stepped forward and said with a smile, Lord Luo, if there's something good, why don't you call us together? He was just testing a little. He came from the strongest kingdom in the eastern region, Dongshuan Kingdom, and their overall national strength was no weaker than that of the large kingdoms in the southern and northern regions. Although he couldn't match the foundation of a superpower kingdom, but he could still be considered equal in front of Luo Yi. I divined that there will be a large beast tide in the south tonight and am preparing to go. If you want to follow, I have no problem. Luo Yi's voice was very light and there was a bit of coldness. After speaking, without waiting for He Lianlai to answer, he took Luo Li and the rest, leaping towards one direction, quickly disappearing in everyone's sight. Seeing Luo Yi and the others quickly disappearing, He Lianlai narrowed his eyes and made a decision. Go! He waved his hand and led the team along with him. Block a large beast tide? Go lie to a ghost. Xuelinger stared at Luo Yi's back with infatuation. This man was Lord Luo, one of those who had the possibility of competing for the top 3 in the finals. That noble temperament, the unparalleled beauty, and especially those pair of clean eyes that made people unable to resist being sucked in. She heard the sound of her own heartbeat. He Lianlai led them to chase after them, and she didn't hesitate to call her team to follow. For Lord Luo, her heart had really moved. She must find a way to obtain that man. Lu Muyen and her party were very fast, but they were still caught up by Luo Yi and his party after an hour. Why did you come? Lu Muyen asked with a smile. Luo Li raised an eyebrow and said, We're naturally here to block the large beast tide. Up to you all. Lu Muyen looked at him amusedly, then continued to move forward. Yun Zmo and the others all had confusion in their eyes. How did Lu Muyen know that Lord Luo and the others would follow? Bing Ji was also very curious, so he asked telepathically, Little owner, how did you know that the one surnamed Luo would come? I felt it. Lu Muyen said. She found that Luo Li's eyes carried curiosity and a desire to find out, so she guessed that he would ask to follow. Lord Luo was cold, but he pampered Luo Li very much, so she had a feeling he would agree to follow. Her sixth sense had always been very accurate, that's why she would say such a thing. With the addition of Lord Luo and the others, it was indeed easier for them to destroy a large beast tied together. Bing Ji rolled his eyes. Go lie to a ghost. Mo Yen, how far is the distance left from the large beast tide? Lu Muyen asked. Mo Yen looked ahead. There's still another 2 hours to go. Arrive there within 2 hours. They should be gathering and preparing to attack the city. Mo Yen added after retrieving his demonic sense. Lu Mu Yen turned to Yun Zmo and the others and said, "Speed up and arrive within 2 hours." Then she used flash steps and quickly headed towards the direction where the beast tide was gathering. The others didn't hold back when they saw it, and they sped up, following her closely. "Why did that woman go in that direction?" Luo Li asked while rushing. Luo Yi replied, "She's going to the place where the beast tide is gathering, and the purpose should be to block the beast tide from attacking the city." There was a hint of confusion in him. How could Lu Mu Yen judge the direction and time of the gathering of the beast tide so accurately? No wonder they dared to travel at night and scrupulously for more than half a month before. There indeed was a secret. He Lian Lai and his party also followed closely behind and quickened their pace. He sure wanted to see what tricks the two teams wanted to play. 2 hours later. Roar, roar! The deafening roar of beasts resounded through the heavens and earth. When Lu Mu Yen and the others arrived at a plain, under the cool moonlight, they saw densely packed, sturdy figures constantly moving around the plain. When Luo Yi and the others arrived there, they saw that there were no less than 2,000 high-level and middle-level demonic beasts, and there were still a steady stream of demonic beasts gathering. The baby-faced person and the others all felt their scalps go numb. How could they deal with so many demonic beasts with only a dozen of them? In the past, when they were in the refuge city, the beast tides attacked in waves from low level to high level. At that time, they didn't feel the horror of a large-sized beast tide, but now that they saw such a scene, they couldn't help but want to retreat. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks. Luo Li took a deep breath and looked up to see Lu Mu Yen looking so eager to attack. He stepped forward and grabbed her arm, saying, "Woman, have you gone crazy? You can retreat first if you're afraid." Lu Mu Yen turned her head and said lightly, "It was naturally better to have Lord Luo and the others join, but without them, it wouldn't affect the overall situation." "Who's afraid?" Luo Li instantly exploded. "You really can't tell good from bad." He huffed and let go of Lu Mu Yan's arm. "I don't care if you go die." He said that, but his eyes were fixed on Lu Mu Yen, looking as if he was saying, "If you dared to go up, there won't be an end to me." Lu Mu Yen let out a low chuckle. This young man was quite funny. It was pretty good that he could do this when they only met by chance. "I have confidence." Lu Mu Yen had a gentle smile on her lips, like the morning light in winter. Luo Li's heart constricted and hurriedly turned his head away to stop looking at her. The way this woman smiled, and her eyes were so beautiful. Roar, roar! They had yet to attack, but the leader of the demonic beasts had discovered them. Countless beast roars sounded, howling and roaring, rushing in their direction. "Young lord, what should we do?" The older, middle-aged man asked with deep, furrowed brows, and looked at Lord Luo. If he knew that the large beast tide was this fierce, they should have persuaded the two of them before. He suddenly felt a little displeased with Lu Mu Yen. "Wait a little," Luo Yi said. "Lu Mu Yen, should we go?" Fu Chen swallowed as he watched the beasts rushing over. Heavens! Why so many? Lu Mu Yan's hands kept forming seals, and 7 pure white jade stones were thrown by her, forming an arc in front of them and falling into different positions, instantly submerging into the ground. "Don't worry." Lu Mu Yen gave the several people a reassuring look, and a confident and rebellious smile appeared on her lips. "Points are currently beckoning at us." She was still thinking about points. This woman was a lunatic. The people present couldn't resist holding their forehead. In the castle in the center of the competition field, the elders of the 6 major sects stared at the crystal wall. "That girl is too crazy." The strong and sturdy elder of the 8 extremes sect laughed. "But I like it." The elders of the other sects were speechless. "A little reckless this time." The elder of the heavenly secret palace said. Lu Mu Yen was probably dazzled by the previous victories, and even pulled Luo Yi and the others down together. It truly was reckless. After all, she's still young. Originally thought she was a composed one, who knew that she would overrate her own abilities. The elder of the sword sect sighed and felt a sense of disappointment in his heart. The elder of the medicine sect said with pity, I'm afraid that she would fall tonight. Large beast tides indeed meant a steady stream of points, but if these points were so easy to obtain, then the elite teams of the superpower kingdoms would have been dispatched long ago. Why is Luo Yi also being reckless together? An elder from the heavenly secret palace who was very optimistic about Luo Yi furrowed his brows. Inwardly, he wasn't worried that Luo Yi would fall here due to the large beast tide. After all, with Luo Yi's strength, it would be more than enough for him to escape. But the act of joining in the fun inevitably made them dissatisfied. Rubbish, what reckless, what do you know? The elder of the 8 Extremes sect swept the few people who spoke with his gaze. That girl must have some means. If you don't believe me, just wait and see. Humph, vulgar. The elder of the sword sect shook his sleeves. The other elders all knew the temperament of the elder of the 8 Extremes sect, so they didn't fuss about it, but they didn't believe that Lu Mu Yen, that girl, would have some means to escape from this large beast tide. They never thought that these two groups of people could destroy this large beast tide. It would already be good not to have lost half the people. The black eyes of the handsome, white-clothed young man sitting in the very last row that were deep like the sea and bright like the stars died with coldness. His family's little woman would surprise these people. Chapter 205, 7-Star Fire Array, Trapping and Killing Beasts on the Great Plains of the Competition Space. Roar, roar. Boom, boom. The roar of demonic beasts, accompanied by the trembling of the earth, resounded throughout the plain. Lu Mu Yan's eyes swept to the group of demonic beasts that were rushing over. Her eyes narrowed, then she turned her head to Yun Ziemo and the others and said, "I'll use an array, you all take advantage of it and kill." All right. Yun Ziemo and the others were originally still a little worried, but they calmed down when they saw the calm and determined expression on Lu Mu Yan's face. A woman wasn't even afraid, so what were they, as men, afraid of? This kind of stimulation made their hair stand on end, and they held their long sword tightly, ready to attack at any time. Bing Ji, I don't want anyone to fall here. Lu Mu Yen instructed Bing Ji. Bing Ji's eyes were no longer filled with silly smiles, but instead, a layer of prudence. Little owner, don't worry, if anything unusual happens, I'll take them away. The reason why Lu Mu Yen dared to bring Yun Ziemo and the others to intercept the large beast tide was because Bing Ji had the flying ability of a Tier 8 demonic beast. If they wanted to escape, as long as a Tier 9 demonic beast didn't appear, then other demonic beasts wouldn't be able to catch up at all. Rise! Lu Mu Yen shouted lightly after the seal was completed with both hands. The 7 pure white jade stones underground instantly exuded a bright soft light and spun ceaselessly. Clusters of flames suddenly erupted from the ground and the whole sky reflected the red glow, illuminating the ground a lot. The flames that shot up into the sky stopped just in front of Lu Mu Yen and the others, and the scorching temperature gradually increased. Many demonic beasts who rushed over hated this heat and stopped in their tracks one after another. 7-Star Fire Array appear. The black array flag separated from Lu Mu Yan's hand and flew into the air, the flag slowly unfolding. With each spontaneous shake, a cluster of flames would erupt from one direction, eventually forming the shape of 7 stars 1, trapping the demonic beasts within the firewall frames. Such a scene made He Lien Lai and the others, who had just arrived, completely dumbstruck. What sort of array was this? It was simply unheard of, let alone seen. Luo Li's eyes opened wide. This woman's so strong. To be able to condense so much fire elemental energy, just to what layer had this woman, Lu Mu Yen, comprehended the fire element to? No wonder she was so confident that she could deal with large beast tides. Using such an array to separate the initially grouped demonic beasts that formed a thick line, now without a leader, they could be crushed separately. Each wave of trapped demonic beasts was only equivalent to a small beast tide, so it was naturally much easier to kill. He couldn't help but feel a sense of admiration, and his heart beat even more violently. Luo Yi also never thought that Lu Mu Yen would still have such means. By simply looking at her fire elemental energy condensation and array attainments, even he couldn't resist praising her heaven-defying talent. Go! Lu Mu Yen nodded to Yun Ziemo and the others, then flew into one of the fire frames first. The shock in Yun Zmo and the others' hearts were no less than that of the rest. Lu Muyen was able to fight in a variety of ways each time. This time, her means were already beyond words to describe for them. But they didn't hesitate too much. According to the usual hunting rules, they each chose a few frames and flew in. Instantly, countless sword auras and sword lights accompanied the 7-star fire array, illuminating the entire dark night. In a large city not far away, several people also leapt down the city wall at the same time and soon disappeared into the night. The direction they disappeared in was the location of the beast tide. "Elder brother, let's go too," Luo Li couldn't help but say with itchy hands when he saw that the people in the array were killing heartily. Luo Yi nodded. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks, the rest of their team could no longer express the shock in their hearts at this time. It seemed that the rumors were nothing. Only by personally seeing this woman could they know that she wasn't simple at all. Led by Luo Yi and Luo Li, Rongzi Kingdom's team leapt into several fire frames that had no one. The demonic beasts inside were like headless flies running around chaotically. Wave after wave of demonic beasts were killed like this, but there were even more demonic beasts who were not afraid of death, continuing to rush in here. Even if one rushed into a place without flames, as soon as one stepped into the area of the array, clusters of gorgeous flames would rise from the ground, forming a fire frame and trapping them. Xue Xue hid his body within the array and strips of golden vines probed up from underground, hiding under the corpses of the demonic beasts and madly absorbing blood essence. Mo Yan's body suddenly grew larger and took down one with each claw. Each time, the demonic beast's crystal core would be crushed and refined on the spot, and the demonic energy in his body that was consumed would be replenished immediately. "Let's go too." He Lian Lai took out the purple jade tablet and saw those names on the rankings that kept jumping. An amorous and unrestrained smile rose on his face. He picked a fire frame with few people and flew in. According to the rumors, Lord Luo never lied. It seemed to be the case. But today sure was an eye-opener. Lu Muyen, this woman, wasn't only beautifully stunning and possessed great strength, but her talent was even heaven-defying. Even he had the thought of wanting to take her back to marry as his prince's wife. If Lu Muyen knew about He Lianlai's thoughts, she would definitely snort in contempt. She didn't care for whatever prince's wife. On this continent, she wouldn't be bound by any identity or status. 10 flying swords dashed through the demonic beasts, like a harvester, and the crystal cores of the demonic beasts flew into her hands one after another. She put away some of them and crushed the rest one after another, directly absorbing and refining them, while transforming them into spiritual energy through the green sea of fog in her dantian. As long as there was a steady stream of spiritual energy, then the fire elemental energy that kept the array running would not be exhausted. This 7-star fire array was completely improvised by her on the way here. She used the principle of the 7-star killing array, used the spirit tools she nourished as 7 separate fire sources, and, finally, used the fire elemental energy condensation to construct the fire frames, separating the group of beasts so that they could attack and destroy them individually. Schwellinger looked at Lu Muyen, who appeared and disappeared in the firelight, in disbelief. How is this possible? When did Lu Muyen have such talent for arrays? She couldn't be left alive. She absolutely couldn't let Lu Muyen leave the competition space alive. Linger, let's go and earn points. Xan Yingxian didn't have the chance to participate in the continental tournament for hegemony. 2 men represented the Xan clan, and one of them was even an admirer of Schwellinger. Schwellinger's nails were deeply embedded into her palm. She didn't even feel any pain when a few drops of blood spilled out. Was Lord Luo here for Lu Muyen? It couldn't be. Despite seeing that Lord Luo and Lu Muyen were fighting on their own without any communication through eye contact or verbal communication, the jealousy in her heart still didn't weaken, and instead, she hated Lu Muyen even more. This woman stole the dazzling brilliance that should have belonged to her. She should be the target of the young talent's attention. One day, she would step on Lu Muyen in public in this space. But now she naturally wouldn't reveal any killing intent towards Lu Muyen. She looked at the people in the fire with worried eyes and said, let's also go help them too. In the fire frame closest to the few people, Luo Li was hunting bravely, wanting to try to surpass Lu Mu Yen. When he heard Xue Linger's gentle voice, he furrowed his brows unhappily. What did she mean by helping them? She just wanted to earn points, yet she actually wanted to use such a high-sounding reason to cover it up. Fake and artificial, how disgusting. He turned his head and looked at the purple figure that constantly shuttled back and forth in the firelight. That beautiful little face was filled with domineering and unrestrained freeness, powerfully bombarding the demonic beasts that attacked her one by one. He revealed a smile. Ultimately, a woman like Lu Mu Yen was more likable. Come true 17-star arrays usually refers to the array being arranged like the Big Dipper asterism that has 7 stars. By the way, this 7-starred array or whatever is actually very common in wuxia stories, or at least referenced. I haven't been reading many wuxia stories lately, but it is pretty common as an array that Taoists use, usually formed from people holding swords. Don't know about xianxia, but if arrays/formations are involved, it might appear in xianxia too, perhaps at least referenced as well. I still remember it appearing in Jin Yong's Condor Heroes series and all that. I've also heard Jin Yong's novels kind of inspired and began this current era of wuxia stories that was different to the past wuxia stories. Don't quote me on it and correct me if I'm wrong, but this information is believable to me. Chapter 206. You're just unpleasant to my eyes inside the castle at the center of the competition area. What? An elder of the sword sect stared motionlessly at the crystal wall. This is too surprising, huh? The strong and sturdy old man of the 8 Extremes sect laughed loudly. Like I said, this girl has a backup move, but you don't believe me, now you've been face-slapped. Towards his words, the other people's cheeks twitched, but they didn't answer. No one wanted to bother with him. Don't be too happy so early, that Tier 7 demonic beast leader hasn't appeared yet. The elder of the heavenly secret palace with wise eyes said slowly. Although he was also shocked by Lu Mu Yan's talent and methods, but such a result didn't mean that they were victorious. In addition to the large number of demonic beasts in a large beast tide, the most difficult to deal with was the leader, the transformation stage demon cultivator. He just didn't know if the initiator of this beast tide would appear or not. Should we make a move? The elder of the medicine sect watched the pure fire elemental energy condensed by Lu Mu Yen on the crystal wall, and increasingly felt that she was definitely a good seedling for alchemy. If she died in the hands of a Tier 7 demonic beast, that would be a pity. The elder of the heavenly secret palace glanced at him and said lightly, if we take action, we'll be breaking the rules of the competition space. Absolutely not allowed. The elder of the medicine sect could only sigh, hoping that the Tier 7 demonic beast wouldn't appear. The several other elders also had their own thoughts. They all hoped that Lu Mu Yen could survive this large beast tide. When the Tier 7 demonic beast appears, just let Luo Yi and He Lian Lai and the other men go up. As men, they have to take responsibility. The elder of the 8 Extremes sect snorted, dissatisfied. Lu Mu Yen was his favored definitive pupil. Even if she couldn't make it to the top 100 in the finals, he would still coax her to go back with him to the sect. Of course, he believed that Lu Mu Yen was definitely the dark horse of this competition. The handsome, white-clothed man in the back row furrowed his brows when he heard what he said. His family's little woman didn't need other men to protect her at all. The several elders from the other sects couldn't help but twitch the corner of their lips and didn't bother paying attention to him. In their eyes, the 8 Extremes sect was just a broken house. At the grand tournaments of the 6 major sects, they were always last. This old man also just loved to argue tediously and vexatiously, so it was best to ignore him. On the plain illuminated by firelight, an elegant, refined-looking man in a long robe stood in midair with his hands behind his back, watching the waves of demonic beasts sending themselves to their deaths indifferently. His eyes locked onto Lu Mu Yen, who was maneuvering around in the fire array. He just didn't believe that her elemental energy wouldn't dry up sometime. That woman's special method of dealing with beast tides sure was very useful. He commanded the demonic beasts to break through but failed. He closed his eyes, no longer instructing the demonic beasts below to find a way to break though, but instead, slowly recollected the array below in order to find a flaw or solution. At this moment, several figures came near from afar in the horizon, standing with their hands behind their backs in their own positions. Mo Ling, I didn't expect you to come to watch the fun too. Yen Jun, dressed in a flamboyant red, looked at the prideful and cool man with a smile. Mo Ling ignored Yen Jun, who teased him, and cast his gaze on the array and battles on the plain, with a rare expression of interest in his eyes. He also had an exceptionally strong talent for arrays, but he was still inferior to the person who could arrange this sort of fire array. Who arranged this fire array? He slowly opened his mouth after a while, obviously asking Yen Jun. Yen Jun raised an eyebrow. I arrived at the same time as you, so I naturally didn't see who arranged the array. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks. He glanced at the people below. Oh, the sun must be coming up from the west today. I didn't expect Luo Yi to participate in the hunt below. Could it be him who arranged the array? Yen Jun touched his chin, a little puzzled. It stood to reason that among the people below, only Luo Yi had the strength to arrange this kind of array, but being rivals for so long, he hadn't heard that Luo Yi was proficient in arrays, and instead, Mo Ling was the master of arrays. Mo Ling denied it. It couldn't have been arranged by Luo Yi. Don't forget that he hasn't comprehended the fire element. Then who arranged that? Luo Li? Although that kid's main cultivation was with the fire element, but he couldn't arrange such an array, right? Yen Jun asked. Mo Ling fell silent for a while, then said, well, no, if we keep watching. Aren't you going to go earn some points? Yen Jun asked with a smile. Mo Ling's voice was cold and prideful. I won't lower myself to go snatch points. Why are you going? If you don't go, I'm naturally too lazy to participate. Yen Jun curled his lips and looked down with interest. There were also a few people hidden not far from the two of them who didn't reveal themselves, but they were all powerful, obviously attracted by the strangeness in the sky here. But none of them participated in it either, as if coming here was just to watch a play. Schwelinger felt the auras of many powerhouses, and she decided to move. She called the people in her team to step up into the array to hunt demonic beasts. She had a curvaceous figure and wore a light green dress which set off her gentle and generous temperament even more. She sneered inwardly. With Lu Mu Yan's vulgar and violent appearance, she was basically a tigress. Probably very few men would really like it, and the attraction would only be temporary. While imagining Lu Mu Yan being stepped on by her, she flew up and was about to enter the array but was blocked by a wall of fire. Under the collision, she was bounced back by a force and couldn't resist letting out a soft cry, barely landing properly. Lu Mu Yan stood within the array and the firelight reflected on her delicate and beautiful face, flickering on and off, with a vague sense of mystery. People like you want to come in and reap benefits in the confusion? You think you're worthy? Lu Mu Yan walked out of the fire frames with her arms folded, looking at Schwelinger and the others with contempt. Schwelinger just wanted to tear Lu Mu Yan into tens of thousands of pieces inwardly, but she didn't reveal it on her face. She criticized openly, "Young Miss Lu, what do you mean by this? We only wanted to go in and help you, but you say such hurtful words. You are so narrow-minded." She didn't look weak and pitiful, but was instead gentle and generous, so that the men present could see the difference between her and Lu Mu Yan, that vulgar woman. Whether you want to help us or whether you want to take the opportunity to steal some points, everyone knows it in their hearts. Lu Mu Yan raised an eyebrow. "Young Miss Xue, don't take everyone here for a fool." Schwelinger didn't expect that Lu Mu Yan wouldn't play the cards by the rules and actually told everyone her little schemes. She naturally wouldn't admit it, and she revealed just the right amount of stubbornness on her face. Don't bully people too far. Lu Mu Yan sneered, and a domineering and arrogant attitude, as if looking down upon the world, emanated from her. "So what if I'm bullying you?" "You," Schwelinger took a deep breath, her eyes looking tactful, and her tone changed as she sighed. "Young Miss Lu, Linger wonders how Linger has offended you, making you embarrass me every time we meet. You're just unpleasant to my eyes. Lu Muyen was too lazy to go around in circles with her. What did other people's opinions have to do with her? Schwellinger had a mouthful of blood stuck in her chest. This woman definitely must have done it on purpose. Pfft. Luo Li couldn't resist laughing aloud and said in cooperation, I also don't think she's pleasing to my eyes. Chapter 207. Set up a chastity memorial tablet for you. The men present were all either proud children of heaven from large kingdoms or superpower kingdoms, so they didn't care about the means used between women at all. In a world where strength was respected, there were women like Schwellinger everywhere, and it was even more impossible for women like that to become lifelong partners. On the contrary, Lu Muyan's arrogant, wild attitude won the hearts of the several people more. Only such women were qualified to be treated as equals and stand shoulder to shoulder with. Lu Muyan, what qualifications do you have to be so arrogant in front of me, you being a person from the Lu clan from Yenzhou, that small kingdom? Schwellinger truly hated her to the extremes. In her eyes, Lu Muyan, aside from being trash, was just a young miss from a small clan. She was inferior to the elite pupils of distinguished clans like them. Yet she didn't expect that this woman would be arrogant ever since the glacial mountain range, and was now even more domineering, considering herself the best in the world. Lu Muyen chuckled with ridicule in her eyes. Now I'll let you see if I'm qualified to be arrogant in front of you. The cruelest way to deal with the enemy wasn't to kill her, but to play her to death. Schwellinger, a woman with good talent and self-confidence, cared about her image the most, especially in front of the elite men around them, so she would make her lose all face. I'll be afraid of you? Schwellinger snorted coldly, and a long sword appeared into her hands. Her talent was indeed excellent among the 10 distinguished clans in the eastern region. She entered the competition space at peak phase Sword King and had now successfully advanced to Sword Monarch, so she had the capital of self-confidence. Lu Muyen only knew unconventional skills, so in terms of the path of the sword, she definitely wouldn't lose to her. Go! Lu Muyen didn't say much nonsense and snapped her fingers. A cluster of flames suddenly emerged from beneath Schwellinger's feet and quickly burnt her skirt. Schwellinger was unprepared and screamed. A palm wind shot out, and the palm wind condensed with the water element instantly extinguished the flames on her skirt. Piu piu. One after another, flames rose from the ground, causing Schwellinger to dodge in a very sorry state. The 5 people who came with her wanted to step forward to help, but they were blocked by Luo Li, who jumped out of the fire frame. In front of the younger brother of Lord Luo from a superpower kingdom, they didn't dare to be presumptuous at all, not to mention that Luo Li's strength was simply beyond their ability to deal with. Even the man that admired Schwellinger could only resign unwillingly. Half of the lower hem of Schwellinger's dress was burnt off, exposing her 2 fair legs. Looks like I've done you a big favor. Lu Muyen swept her legs with an ambiguous expression and said with a smile. Schwellinger dodged a cluster of fire and looked at her coldly, asking, "What do you mean? Didn't you plan to seduce these people? Now that your shining white thighs are exposed, their eyes are all stuck to it, so wouldn't they perfectly be hooked?" Lu Muyen stretched out her hand and pointed randomly in the direction of Luo Yi, Luo Li, Lian Lai, Jun, and Mo Ling. Although she couldn't see a few figures in the distance in the dark, but the temperament and strength that they exuded helped her judge that they were definitely people from elite teams of large kingdoms, so she just pointed towards those few auras randomly. The several people's faces turned black. When did she see that their eyes were all stuck to it? A bunch of women like Schwellinger would come and deliver themselves to their doors on their own initiative without even a hook of their finger. Did they still have to look on purpose? Why are you pointing to me, woman? Even if such a thing came to my door and stripped herself naked begging for me to look, this young master wouldn't even bother taking a look. Don't tarnish my reputation. Luo Li saw that Lu Muyen pointed at him just now and instantly exploded. Even if his eyes were covered in gunk, it would be impossible for him to fall in love with that kind of woman. Lian Lai couldn't resist twitching the corners of his lips. He was just bored before, so he only played with Schwellinger when he saw that Schwellinger wanted to scheme against him, so why was it that when Lu Muyen said it, it was as if they were all very hungry? Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks. Yan Jun glanced at Schwellinger with disgust, then raised his head to look at Mo Ling and blinked. Were your eyes stuck on her? Mo Ling glanced at him and spat out a word coldly, boring. Then his eyes fell on Lu Mu Yen thoughtfully. Oh, so you're interested in that woman? Yan Jun joked. She arranged the fire array. Mo Ling whispered, so she's Lu Mu Yen. It was only then that Yan Jun remembered that Lu Mu Yen had just controlled the fire array and made the other party very embarrassed. Who knew that her talent in arrays would be so strong? I'm afraid she's not weaker than you, right? Yan Jun's words were somewhat tentative. Mo Ling pondered for a little, then said, stronger than me. Lu Mu Yan's attainments and learnings on the path of the array were definitely superior to him, and a thought of wanting to exchange pointers with her rose in his heart. Yan Jun's amorous peach-shaped eyes showed a rare look of astonishment. To make Mo Ling say such words, the attainments in the path of the array of that woman from a small kingdom named Lu Mu Yen seemed to be really good indeed. Schwellinger saw that none of the men present came out to speak for her, and Lord Luo's younger brother was even rude to her. A thin layer of mist rose in her eyes, and she turned to look at Lord Luo. But she only saw him holding a silver longsword and didn't even look at her. Accompanied by his silver clothes, when his sword rose and fell, there was an indescribable noble charm. Her face flushed slightly, and her heartbeat quickened. Lu Mu Yen followed her gaze to look at Luo Yi, and the ridicule in her eyes grew even stronger. Schwellinger even took a fancy to Luo Yi, having high standards but little ability. Truly, why not go look in the mirror first? Fortunately, such a woman already annulled the engagement with her elder cousin brother. Otherwise, who knows how many green hats one Ling Fei Yang would have to wear. She couldn't even bear to think of such an image. Fortunately, the Shui clan and the Ling clan already annulled the engagement, otherwise my elder cousin brother's head would be covered with green clouds every day. Lu Mu Yen was just thinking it and said it aloud. Schwellinger suddenly felt extremely humiliated. The matter between her and Ling Fei Yang's annulment of engagement was often brought up by others to make an issue out of, saying that their Shui clan was ungrateful and dropped stones onto someone who had fallen into a well. Ling Fei Yang used to be a genius of the 10 distinguished clans alongside Yi Qinghan. But how could he still be worthy of her after his legs were crippled from being poisoned? Why did she have to wrong herself? Ling Fei Yang was her betrothed. Shouldn't he come out to help when she was being bullied by a devil cultivator? She didn't think she did anything wrong. Lu Mu Yen, your elder cousin brother and I broke off our engagement purely because I only feel a brotherly love towards him, and I don't want to delay the rest of his life. Schwellinger looked at Lu Mu Yen with a serious face. The hands clenching her long sword already turned white. You hate and slander me because of this. I originally wanted to let you go for the sake of the Ling clan, but now you're also insulting and humiliating me, so I won't be polite to you again. She must mercilessly kill Lu Mu Yen here today so that she could resolve the hatred in her heart. Yeah. When my elder cousin brother was a genius, you chased after him every day and pestered him, afraid that he'd be taken away by other women. Then when he was injured by the devil cultivator and his legs were crippled, you only have brotherly love towards him and just wanted to hide as far as possible. Lu Mu Yen acted out a look of surprise, and her voice increased a little bit. So it turns out that it's because you don't want to delay him for the rest of his life. Oh, admirable, admirable. How about I get the Dongshuan Kingdom's Imperial family of the Eastern region to set up a chastity memorial tablet for you? She remembered that Dongshuan Kingdom was the strongest kingdom in the Eastern region and could even be ranked among the large kingdoms on Tianling continent. The Shui clan was within the territory of the Dongshuan Kingdom. Didn't Schwellinger want to show off her most beautiful side in front of these men? Then of course she would fulfill her beautiful name. Luo Li couldn't resist laughing and looked at He Lian Lai, saying, "Seventh Prince, why don't you go back and set up a chastity memorial tablet for the daughter of the Shui clan?" He didn't miss Schwellinger's obsessive eyes when she looked at his elder brother just now. This sort of ungrateful person still wanted his elder brother? Was she worthy? A woman cheating on a man. There's a story that is believed to be the origin of this saying about how a woman would wear a green hat as a signal to the man she cheated on with that her husband wasn't home and for him to come meet her. Eventually she was discovered, and I don't know how the story ends XD, probably tragically for the woman, as these ancient misogynistic stories usually do. Chapter 208. The power of one claw. He Lien Lai couldn't resist twitching the corners of his eyes when he heard Lu Mu Yen and Luo Li's words. Was he getting stabbed even when he was lying down, minding his own business? Lu Mu Yen, you bully people too much. Today, I must teach you a lesson. Schwelinger was shaking with anger. When she used to talk to other women, they would all follow her words and speak accordingly, then they would become ensnared by her words without knowing it. But Lu Mu Yen, this tigress, played cards unreasonably, was arrogant and domineering and had no regards for face. Just with you? Lu Mu Yen smiled indifferently without even giving any looks of contempt. Schwelinger was provoked again by her unconcerned eyes. I heard that the last time you fought with the EC Empire, you used the 5 elements mutual inhibition law. Now I will let you have a taste of it as well. After she finished speaking, she poured the water elemental energy in her body into the long sword she held in her hand and swung dozens of sword auras against the flames that kept rising from the ground. Schwelinger's comprehension of the water element law had already reached the state of the understanding realm, and the sword aura she wielded contained a strong water element. The blue water balls turned into streaks of light, instantly extinguishing the flames erupting from the ground. Lu Mu Yen, your fire elemental energy is nothing much. Schwelinger's eyes concealed a smug smile. Lu Mu Yen swept Schwelinger with her gaze casually and said coldly, the 5 elements mutual inhibition law doesn't apply for everyone. Do you think that you can win me simply by having water elemental energy? Truly indulging in your wildest fantasy. She didn't say any more, and pinched her hands together, quick. Earth could inhibit water, but she didn't want to use the earth attribute elemental energy to deal with Schwelinger. On one hand, it was because she hadn't comprehended it deep enough, and on the other, she didn't want to expose that she could comprehend numerous elemental laws. So what if water inhibits fire? With her fire elemental energy law comprehended to the great achievement realm, she could still suppress Schwelinger's water element. Boom boom. The earth trembled a few times, and a crimson wall of fire spouted from the ground. Schwelinger's dozens of sword auras containing the water element instantly evaporated into water vapor. Schwelinger's pupils constricted, and she bit her lip. She formed a few seals before her chest, and the water elements all over her body swarmed into the longsword. Water moon slash. She let out a tender shout with a proud look in her eyes. This was the strongest sword skill of their Xue clan. Lu Mu Yen could consider herself lucky to be able to die under her final blow using all her strength. A violent force burst out from Schwelinger's sword, turning into hundreds of blue crescent moons that curved into the air and greeted the wall of fire controlled by Lu Mu Yen. Seeing that Schwelinger had used her strongest means, the ridicule on Lu Mu Yen's lips grew even stronger. She wanted to kill her by using just these means? This woman truly underestimated her opponent. She stretched out her hands and pinched a few more Taoist seals. After the wall of fire was smashed by Schwelinger's sword aura, a giant fire dragon emerged from the ground, opened its mouth, and swallowed the rounds of blue crescent moons into its belly in just a few moments. After finishing, it made a humanized burp. It was as if it were alive, and the entire dragon was coiled above Schwelinger's head, looking at her with a scorching gaze. The smile on Schwelinger's face froze. How was this possible? She took a deep breath, raised her sword, and slashed maniacally towards the fire dragon in midair. All the elemental energy gathered in her long sword exploded outwards, turning into a huge blue crescent moon that tore through the sky, slashing towards the circling fire dragon above. The blue crescent moon carried a dense water element, as if it could easily destroy the fire dragon, and was even more imposing. Everyone concentrated on watching the two fight and was actually surprised by Schwelinger's strength. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks, it seemed that this woman wasn't just an embroidered pillow one. This sort of water element condensation had also reached a relatively high level of comprehension. Do you think that Lu Muyan's fire is powerful, or that Shui whatever's water element is powerful? Yan Jun landed beside Mo Ling and looked into the distance with a smile. Mo Ling looked at the giant dragon hovering in the air with deep eyes. Naturally, Lu Muyan's fire is more powerful. Really? Yan Jun raised an eyebrow and said, water can inhibit fire. From the perspective of the imposing momentum, that woman's sword skill is more powerful than the fire dragon. You already have the answer in your heart, so why do you still need to ask me? Mo Ling gave Yan Jun a cold look. This man always made him unable to guess what he was thinking. It was best to keep as little contact with him as possible. Yan Jun's eyes were deep, and he looked at the fire dragon thoughtfully. One move can determine the outcome. Although the fire dragon didn't seem to have the imposing manner of the blue crescent moon, but the fire elemental energy was much purer than the water elemental energy. They were simply not on the same level. Water can inhibit fire? What a joke! In the face of unequal power, everything was unfounded. The blue crescent moon slashed down heavily, landing entirely on the fire dragon, wanting to cut it into two pieces. There seemed to be a ridicule in the boundless eyes of the fire dragon. How could the light of a firefly compete with the moon? Sure enough, the powerful-looking blue crescent moon that seemed to have an imposing manner merely embedded into the fire scales of the fire dragon but couldn't enter any further at all. The fire dragon roared into the sky, and the four sharp claws condensed by fire elemental energy instantly tore the blue crescent moon into countless pieces. Drops of water fell from the sky. Schwellinger's strongest sword skill condensed with water elemental energy was just completely and cleanly destroyed by the power of one claw of the fire dragon made from fire elemental energy condensation. Before the water droplets fell to the ground, the heat from the fire dragon evaporated them all and they disappeared. Schwellinger's face paled. She was running out of elemental energy, and she couldn't believe what happened in front of her. She was obviously one stage higher than Lu Muyan in cultivation base. Her comprehension of the water element had also entered the understanding realm, and the water moon slash she used was even the strongest earth rank sword skill of the Shui clan, but why did she lose? It was the first time that she had uncertainty in her heart. Was Lu Muyan really so strong to such a degree? It couldn't be. Lu Muyan must have used some tricks, that's why she lost. Do you still want to fight? Lu Muyan asked, looking at Schwellinger with her arms folded. Schwellinger bit her lower lip, looking stubborn and unyielding. She didn't act pitiful on purpose, but she had a charm of her own, which made the man from the Xen clan feel much heartache for her. Lu Muyan, if you have the ability, don't use these unconventional skills. If you use sword skills, you may not be able to win against Linger. The man shook off the pull of the person next to him, walked to Schwellinger and stood in front of her, glaring at Lu Muyan fiercely. Lu Muyan didn't even bother looking at the man, ignoring him completely, and looked past him to Schwellinger. I'll give you a chance to live. I'll give you an hour to escape. If my fire dragon doesn't kill you, then I'll consider you lucky. Seeing Lu Muyan completely ignore him, there was anger in the man from the Xen clan, but he didn't dare to offend her. Schwellinger's eyes flickered, and she still said stubbornly, "A soldier accepts death rather than humiliation." She was looking for an opportunity to escape. She sure didn't want to die here right now. However, she just needed some steps to fall back on. She stretched out her hand and tugged the sleeve of the man from the Xen clan, saying softly, "Don't worry about me, you just leave." The man turned his head to look at her gentle and beautiful face, and his heart toughened. For love, he would go all out. "Is what you said just now true?" he asked, looking up. "Naturally. There won't be an hour left if you keep delaying." Lu Muyan played with a strand of her hair casually. The man from the Xen clan turned around and instantly pulled Schwellinger, flying away with her. From the backs of the two, Schwellinger appeared to be struggling, and it was all just that man's wishful thinking. Chapter 209. Let's Compete. The Xen clan's sword cultivator forcibly took Schwellinger away and soon disappeared from everyone's sight. The curve of Lu Muyan's lips raised slightly and said to the circling fire dragon, "Go, just don't play them to death." The fire dragon, as if understanding her words, let out a low growl and slowly chased in that direction beneath the moonlight. "Aren't you going to kill her?" Luo Li walked up to Lu Muyan, and because he was so close, there was a refreshing scent of medicinal herbs lingering on the tip of his nose. His mind swayed and his expression felt a little unnatural. It's not good to let the tiger return to the mountain. He didn't miss the scheming in the eyes of that woman surnamed Xue just now, and only that stupid man would be enchanted to have lost reason. Don't you think it's more interesting to play her to death? Lu Muyan raised an eyebrow and smiled. Even more interesting? If you let her escape, she'll definitely seek revenge from you in the future. Luo Li's principle in dealing with enemies was to kill to avoid future troubles. Lu Muyan shrugged without care. It's too easy for her to die like this. I want her to collapse into the dust when she's high on the clouds and make her experience the feeling of unable to beg for life or death. Her elder cousin brother Ling Fei Yang was injured and crippled by that devil cultivator, then his betrothed broke off the engagement, bringing shame to the clan. Only he understood the feelings in his heart. He was tortured by the curse and poison every day, enduring physical and mental pain unimaginable by ordinary people, but he couldn't ask for death. Xue, this culprit, not only had no guilt, but also felt that it was only right. She also wanted to let Xue have a taste of this, not to die, but to never have the power to retaliate. From a proud daughter of heaven to the abandoned daughter of the Xue clan. She would make her understand that it only took an instant for one to fall from heaven to hell. "You're such an unreasonable woman." Luo Li was startled and turned his head away awkwardly. But there wasn't a trace of feeling that she was too cold, as if her doing this was only for granted. He stroked his chin. Should he also treat the enemy in this way in the future? Maybe death was indeed too easy. "You look like a cat that had exploded in anger." Lu Muyan looked at Luo Li's cute appearance and remembered a junior brother back when she was in the immortal cultivation world. Her lips couldn't help but be dyed with a touch of softness. Luo Li was stunned for a moment, then glared at Lu Muyan. "You're the cat." After speaking, without waiting for Lu Muyan to speak, he jumped into a circle of fire and began to frantically kill demonic beasts, concealing the throbbing feeling of his heart. Lu Muyan couldn't resist laughing happily, and the silver bell-like clear voice echoed. Then she leapt up and controlled the 10 flying swords to shuttle through the fire array, killing the demonic beasts trapped in the array extremely quickly. The elegant, refined man standing in the sky looked at Lu Muyan deeply, but in the end, he didn't make a move as his lips raised into a meaningful arc. This human woman was this interesting, it was a pity to kill her now. Hell keep her until then. After making this decision, he waved his sleeve lightly to remove the telepathy runes gathered around the beast tide, turned, and disappeared into the darkness. With the Tier 7 demonic beast leader having lifted the order to gather, the surging demonic beasts looked around in confusion now and felt the scorching aura around them, disliking it very much. They turned their heads in the direction they came from and ran back. Because there were no more demonic beasts gathering, and the thousands of demonic beasts that had gathered before were also divided into countless waves by Lu Muyan's fire array. When dawn was approaching, this wave of a large beast tide was completely destroyed in their hands. Mo Ling, Yan Jun, and the others, seeing this, didn't remain. They turned around and disappeared in the sky, as if they had never appeared before. Whether Lu Muyan was the dark horse of this session or not, and whether she could break out of the tight encirclement or not, they had some expectations in their hearts. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks. When the last wave of demonic beasts was killed, the 7 round and smooth jade stones buried deep in the ground all shattered into powder, and the fire that filled the plain gradually faded, finally disappearing. Lu Muyan's forehead overflowed with a thin layer of sweat. Such a high-intensity use of fire elemental energy condensation practically exhausted the spiritual energy in her body. She raised her head and looked in the direction where the transformation stage demon cultivator was before, and some confusion and disappointment flashed across her eyes. She originally wanted to fight the Tier 7 demonic beast and break through her cultivation base bottleneck, but who knew that the demon cultivator only watched the battle but didn't appear? Why was that? Mo Yen, why didn't that demon cultivator show up? Mo Yen laid lazily on Lu Muyan's shoulder and said slowly, "He doesn't want to kill you yet." Why? Lu Muyan asked with furrowed willow brows. She didn't think that her charm was so great that it could get that Tier 7 demon cultivator to show pity and tender care for Jade. In this world that respected strength, appearance served only as foil. Whoever's fist was the biggest, whoever had the right to speak. The law of survival among the demon race was even more so. There were too few strong sword masters and high-level demon cultivators who were greedy for beauty. Must be because of some secret. Mo Yen felt that the demon cultivator's attitude was very strange. His cultivation base is in late phase Tier 7. Even if a few of you are strong, but it's impossible for him to be afraid. I just feel that there's something strange with all the high-level demon cultivators in this competition space. Let's take a step at a time and see. Now, the most important thing is to advance to the top 10 in the preliminary round. Lu Muyan looked at her rankings that had jumped to 37th place. It really was difficult to advance to the top 10 in points. The higher the rankings, the greater the difference in points. It seemed that they could only continue to encircle and suppress large-scale beast tides. Your points are increasing very quickly already. Luo Li saw that she was looking down at the points with a bit of dissatisfaction on her face and comforted. My ranking is only a few ranks higher than yours, you're already very good. Lu Muyan chuckled, "Are you comforting me?" "No." Luo Li glanced at her and muttered, "Do you need to be comforted? I'll surpass you very soon." Lu Muyan smiled and patted Luo Li on the shoulder. Luo Li raised an eyebrow and said proudly, "How's that possible? Let's wait and see." "Sure. Let's compete to see who can enter the top 10. Lu Muyan said with a smile. Luo Li really didn't know where her confidence came from. The top 10 wasn't so easy to enter. But because of the throbbing feeling in his heart, he didn't want to dampen her spirits. "Sure, let's compete." After cleaning up the battlefield, Lu Muyan also looked a little tired. She took out a few bottles of spiritual energy replenishing pills and poured it into her mouth to refine while walking at the same time. They needed to rush to the next large city after dawn to recover. Luo Yi and the others were also planning to change cities to begin with, so they followed. Seeing that the two groups of people didn't even have the intention to care about them, He Lian Lai's eye twitched. Could he be an invisible person? So he followed up as he waved his folding fan and walked to Lu Muyan's side, saying with a smile, "Young Miss Lu, it's a pleasure to meet you." Lu Muyan glanced at him and replied indifferently, "Pleasure to meet you." He Lian Lai kept waiting for her next line, but who knew that she didn't intend to continue speaking at all. He choked. Did she want to send him away with just those words? Chapter 210. Trade Fair News. Luo Li found that He Lian Lai was acting as if he was very tasteful and refined as he approached Lu Muyan, and he felt displeased. He really wanted to beat up that face until it was filled with scratches. "Don't you see that she's very tired?" He stepped forward and pushed He Lian Lai away. Seeing Lu Muyan's expression reveal a bit of exhaustion, He Lian Lai thought that it indeed would have consumed a lot of elemental energy for her to have set up the array. So he didn't harass her anymore and quietly followed the few people towards the next large city. The beast tide wasn't far from the next city, and they arrived when the sky had just brightened. At this time, there were sword masters leaving one after another from the city. Lu Muyan looked around a little, then made a judgment in her heart. Since the last large city, the number of sword masters from small kingdoms had gradually decreased. Most of them were trapped by the demonic beasts that blocked the only roads between the cities. Since entering the city to finding an inn, she had yet to see sword masters who were below sword monarch cultivation base. She had properly become the bottom again. As soon as she entered the room, Lu Muyan took out a bunch of demonic beasts' crystal cores from her interspatial ring and refined it directly. At present, the effect of spiritual energy replenishing pills wasn't as good as refining and absorbing crystal cores, so it was imperative to find the sea serene herb. That night, they didn't go out hunting again and continued to rest in the city. When her spiritual energy and physical strength had reached its peak, Lu Mu Yen opened her eyes, took out the identity jade tablet and carefully looked at the simple map depicted in it. When she saw a sea area, her eyes lit up. The sea serene herb had an assured source. It was just that the sea area was too far from here. It belonged to the periphery, which was also the place where people were teleported in. If she turned around to find the sea serene herb, then she didn't know how long she would be delayed for. While thinking about it, there was a knock at the door. She opened the door and saw Luo Li and a young man with a baby face standing outside. Need something? She stepped aside and let the two enter the room. Luo Li walked in and sat at the table, then swept her room with his eyes. Simple and clean. I want to tell you something, Luo Li said. Lu Mu Yen sat opposite the two of them and asked with a smile, "What's the matter?" 3 days later, there will be a trade fair in the next city. Are you going? Luo Li's handsome face had a sunny smile. Trade fair? Lu Mu Yan's lips curled up and took out the high-grade spiritual tea she obtained from Yizhan and brewed a pot while in a good mood. Only those holding cyan, orange and purple tablets are eligible to participate in the trade fair. Luo Li explained. Lu Mu Yen poured a cup of tea for each of them. You do know I have a red jade tablet. After speaking, she waited for what he was going to say next. Since Luo Li came to ask her, he must know what color the jade tablet she had was. I know that. Although the trade fair only allows those who hold jade tablets of those 3 colors to attend, but they can all bring people with them. Luo Li took a sip of tea, looked at her and said, "If you want to go, I can bring you along." "Can you only bring one person?" Lu Mu Yen asked while blowing the tea. "Your whole group is fine too." Luo Li had nothing to do with Yun Zmo and the others, but since they were in the same group as Lu Mu Yen, he didn't mind selling her this favor. Lu Mu Yen blossomed into a smile. "Thank you very much then." A trade fair that could only be attended by sword masters from large kingdoms definitely must be extraordinary. No need. Luo Li saw her beautiful smile on her refined and ethereal face, and he slightly turned his head, feeling awkward. The baby-faced man was named Gaozhe. Seeing Luo Li's appearance like an awkward man, he couldn't resist having the urge to burst into laughter. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks. Luo Li gave him a subtle kick and a warning look. By the way, can I trouble you with one thing? Lu Mu Yen treated Luo Li like the junior pupil brother from her previous life and only found that his temperament was awkward and cute, not thinking too much into it. Luo Li curbed his emotions and asked seriously, "What's the matter?" "I want to find the sea serene herb. I'd like to ask you to help me find out if anyone has it. I want to buy it or trade it with something." Her power alone was too weak. Luo Li was from a superpower kingdom, so his network was naturally incomparable with someone like her from a small kingdom. Sea serene herb. Luo Li nodded. "Sure. I'll tell you if I have any news." Lu Mu Yen thought about it, then took out a pot of blood sack wine, stuffing it to Luo Li. "Take it and drink it." She had already opened a large number of blood sack wines that she had brewed before, and the several spirit pets all liked to drink it. Thinking of Luo Li's identity, if she gifted anything else, he might not think it anything special, so she gifted a jug of spiritual wine. Luo Li took the white jade jug curiously, lifted the lid and a fragrant aroma of mellow wine instantly spread to every corner of the room. His eyes lit up and he picked up an empty teacup on the table, pouring himself a cup. The red liquid was clear and transparent. He took a sip and asked in surprise, "Is this spiritual wine brewed from the blood sac of the human-eating blood thorn vine? Your mouth sure is perceptive." Lu Mu Yen smiled. Seeing Luo Li's expression, he should have drunk blood sac wine before. Luo Li drank the last sip of wine in the cup and said, "I once stole some blood sac wine that my dad treasured and drank it, but the purity and aroma of the wine was even inferior to yours." The spiritual force contained in the spiritual wine flowed into the dantian along the meridians and pure elemental energy flowed. He asked in surprise, "How did you get this spiritual wine?" This sort of spiritual wine level could only be achieved by those few jars of wine that his dad treasured and was reluctant to drink. So how did this woman obtain it? but he couldn't help but feel happy. Lu Mu Yen gave him such precious and rare spiritual wine. Did this mean that they had changed from strangers to friends? I brewed it myself. Lu Mu Yen didn't plan on hiding it. She had a good impression of the two Luo brothers, especially when Luo Li exploded. That sort of expression was very likable, very much like the cat she once raised. Piu! Gao Zhi couldn't resist spitting out the tea in his mouth after hearing her say that. Wasn't this too exaggerated? Luo Li's face also revealed slight shock. You said this blood sack wine was brewed by your? Yeah. Lu Mu Yen nodded. I brewed it, what's wrong? Is it strange? The corners of Luo Li's eyelids jumped. This woman was actually a spiritual wine master. How truly surprising. What else can you do besides erase and brewing spiritual wine? Luo Li asked curiously. He always felt that this woman knew more than these two things, and hid things very deeply. Lu Mu Yan's dark eyes flashed with a smile. I can also refine pills. As for the rest, she still had reservations about, so she didn't say. Luo Li revealed an expression as if he had already known it would be like this. No wonder you comprehended the fire elemental law so deeply. Under normal circumstances, most spiritual wine masters were alchemists. In addition to that, there was Lu Mu Yan's skillful use of the fire element and how she took pills bottle after bottle, so he guessed that she was an alchemist. What grade? Luo Li couldn't help but ask again. Lu Mu Yan made a thoughtful gesture and replied with a smile. I can refine a few grade 3 pills, so I should barely be considered grade 3. Grade 3. Before Luo Li could react, Gao Zhi jumped up. You're not human. Lu Mu Yan rolled her eyes at him. You're the one that wasn't a human, your entire family weren't human. Chapter 2:11. Slander. Seeing Luo Li glaring at him, Gao Zhi knew that he had said something wrong. What I mean is, you're not an ordinary person. He explained with a shy smile. Apart from the fact that Lu Mu Yan's cultivation base looked relatively weak, but her other talents were simply too amazing, not at all outdone by the genius elites of their superpower kingdoms. A grade 3 alchemist was someone that even a clan like theirs would strive to win over. If she continued to develop like this, then her future would be immeasurable. He gave Luo Li a look that said, it seems you have good eyesight. Lu Mu Yan, you should focus on your cultivation. Luo Li suggested. Lu Mu Yan's cultivation base was still a little low. Although she had the strength to skip stage battle, but once she encountered a sword master like his elder brother, then the possibility of winning was too small. Moreover, the cultivation base was also linked to the other occupations. For example, if one wanted to become a grade 4 alchemist, one needed a sword sovereign cultivation base to be able to condense a level of elemental energy flame of the equal level, and array master's levels were also inseparable from cultivation base. Luo Li thought that Lu Mu Yan focused on studying arrays and alchemy because it was a hobby. He didn't want her to forget the fundamentals. Lu Mu Yan knew that Luo Li was just kindly reminding her, but she couldn't tell him that in fact, she used to be a terminal meridian's trash, and it had only been less than a year since she could start cultivating. I'll pay attention in the future. She thought about it and agreed with a smile. Are we still traveling at night or during the day? Luo Li asked for her opinion. Lu Mu Yan said decisively, night. If she wanted to participate in the trade fair, she naturally had to go with Luo Li and the others. Luo Li and Gao Zhi looked at each other and saw the other's eyes reveal an as expected expression. Then we'll go back first. See you between 7 and 9. Luo Li put the jug in his hand into his interspatial ring, stood up and bid farewell. After the two left Lu Mu Yan's room, they went straight to Luo Ye's place. Eldest brother, Lu Mu Yan wants to follow us to the trade fair. I promised her already. Luo Li sat down beside Luo Yi and said. Luo Yi also knew that some things were long destined. When will we leave? Tonight at the time between 7 and 9. Luo Li replied. As soon as Luo Yi heard it, he guessed that this was definitely the time set by Lu Mu Yan. Younger brother had already fallen into love unconsciously, and he didn't know whether it was good or bad. But people's hearts and feelings weren't controlled by him. If he interfered forcibly, It may even develop in an unexpected direction. Let it all happen with fate. Then it'll be between 7 and 9 tonight. Luo Li took out the spiritual wine gifted by Lu Mu Yen and said, showing off, "Elder brother, what do you think this is?" Luo Yi took the jug, opened it, smelt it, and asked with amusement, "Did you steal Dad's blood sack wine again?" However, the smell of the wine wasn't very similar. Could it be that this wine wasn't brought out by Luo Li from home? Dad hides his spiritual wine so safely now, how could I find it? Luo Li approached Luo Yi mischievously and said, "This is what Lu Mu Yen gifted me." Lu Mu Yen gifted it? How could she have such spiritual wine? The older, middle-aged man asked curiously. Lu Mu Yen came from an unknown small kingdom in the eastern region, and it was unlikely that she could make friends with a high-level spiritual wine master, so this pot of spiritual wine must have been obtained from other places. Seeing that the several people sitting here were looking at him curiously, and his elder brother's emotions also fluctuated, he said leisurely, "Lu Mu Yen brewed it herself. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site." "Thanks, what?" The older man smiled in disbelief. "How old is she to make this sort of spiritual wine?" Don't be deceived by the little girl's sweet words. He could see that Luo Li had a crush on the woman named Lu Mu Yen, but he felt that the background of the two was too different, and their identities weren't a good match. Now that he heard such a thing, he now believed that Lu Mu Yen was tricking Luo Li. Luo Li furrowed his brows, displeased. "Whether she lied to me or not, I naturally have the ability to judge, so you don't need to worry about it." Luo Qing, he was in existence like a personal guard for him and his elder brother that his father placed beside them. Recently, he liked to interfere in his affairs more and more, and his heart was a little displeased. "Little young master, the patriarch asked me to take care of you, so naturally I can't let you be deceived. That woman, at first glance, you could tell she's the restless type. She's just coaxing you for the power behind your background." Luo Qing, he said expressionlessly. Luo Li's temperament was simply too difficult to discipline. Although he was from a branch of the Luo clan, but he was also a leader in his generation. Otherwise, Patriarch wouldn't let him follow Lord Luo and Luo Li, so he felt that he naturally had some prestige. Luo Li sneered, "Who are you to interfere with my affairs?" Lu Mu Yen didn't flatter him at all. Instead, it was actually he who was approaching her to befriend her. Luo Qing, his slandering of Lu Mu Yen made him very disgusted. "What's that about?" He quickly rescued the spiritual wine from the claws of Gao Zhe and the others and put it away. It was given to him by that woman, so he wouldn't give it to them. Don't wave around a chicken feather as a token of authority too. If you keep chirping about, then get lost from our elite team. Luo Li exuded coldness. "I believe that the other team of Rongzi Kingdom will definitely welcome you." After saying that, regardless of Luo Qing's livid expression, he addressed Luo Yi, hummed a little tune, and returned to his room. This Luo Qing, he looked stable before, but ever since he was selected by his dad to join the competition, he had become more and more presumptuous. He also had secret connections with the other team members, so his heart was unfaithful. "Young lord, I just don't want little young master to be led astray." Hearing him say such words, "Forgive me for I cannot bear it." Luo Qing, he revealed anger on his face. Luo Yi just glanced at him lightly. "You can leave today." Luo Qing, he was startled and looked at him in disbelief. "Young lord, what do you mean by this?" "My younger brother naturally has me to discipline him." Luo Yi's voice was cold. "You have overstepped." "All right. Since the young lord has said this, then it is unnecessary for me to continue to stay here. I hope you will not regret it." Luo Qing, he stood up with a grim expression and left the room with a flick of his sleeves. "What's that about?" After being kicked out, although Luo Qing, he was very angry, but he also felt a little fortunate. If he could advance into the top 100 and join a sect this time, he would be able to leave the Luo clan. By then, he'd just watch how the two brothers of the Luo clan could still be arrogant in front of him. As for that Lu Mu Yen, he sneered. Only Luo Li would care about that kind of restless woman. Go lie to a ghost, as if she could brew that kind of spiritual wine. He was disdainful against her. Luo Li was also an idiot in front of stunning women. If he were the son of the head of the clan and had so many resources to enjoy, he wouldn't be much worse off than these two brothers either. Luo Li dared to belittle him like this. One day he would want these two brothers to crawl beneath his feet. He didn't linger. Taking the chance while it was still daytime, he quickly left the city after collecting his things. Young Lord, Luo Qin, his heart has grown too big. A man in the same team said. He couldn't understand his own identity clearly. Without the protection of the Luo clan, Luo Qin, he wouldn't even know how he died. No matter. Let him go. Luo Yi lowered his eyes. He saw a faint aura of decline on Luo Qin, and it was even related to Luo Mu Yen in the future, so he let him go. Such a person from a branch clan who no longer had the Luo clan in his heart had no need to return with him. At the time between 7 and 9 o'clock at night, Lu Mu Yan's team joined Luo Li and the others, and as soon as they reached the gate of the city, they saw He Lianlai walking over with a smile. They don't actually say the words 7 and 9 p.m. but instead the time of Su, Shushur, which is the time between 7 and 9 o'clock p.m. They used to only have 12 hours back then. I don't want to just say 8 because telling time back then wasn't that accurate, so the time could be as early as 7 to as late as 9 etc., and it was just more accurate to say between 7 and 9. XD2 basically saying you haven't even been given any proper authority, so don't assume unwarranted authority simply because of some pretext. Chapter 212. Olive Branch and Alliance. He Lianlai had been following the movements of Lu Mu Yen and Luo Yes teams. He guessed that they would set off at night, so he waited here, and as expected, they indeed arrived. Is Lord Luo and young Miss Lu going out of the city to travel? Lu Mu Yen saw that he was holding a folding fan and looked like an amorous sir, but she didn't dislike it. I wonder if this one he has the honor to join? He Lianlai's handsome face revealed a modest smile. Luo Li rolled his eyes at him. No. This He Lianlai looked at Lu Mu Yen with an impure gaze. He didn't like it. Lord Luo, the trade fair is about to start, how about we join forces? He Lianlai suggested. The end of the trade fair also meant that the points competition would reach its climax. Elite teams from various kingdoms would flock to the central city and would also attack without restraint. Most kingdoms would choose a temporary alliance. He was originally going to form an alliance with 2 other kingdoms, but he changed his mind after seeing Lu Mu Yen. Lu Mu Yan's talent in arrays was simply too amazing. He no longer thought about having her marry him and return as his imperial concubine. He couldn't control such a woman, but he couldn't let go of the opportunity to befriend her. Although he was the most favored prince of the most powerful kingdom in the eastern region, but he also bore the responsibility behind his noble status. Each kingdom had its own array masters that built their own great kingdom protection array. Dongshuan Kingdom also had its own great array, but it was only one step away from perfecting its defense, and this step required a Grade 5 array master to complete. But Grade 5 array masters were very rare on the entire Tianling continent. Any who came out was an existence that affected countless major forces. Dongshuan Kingdom also tried to invite them but failed. A talent like Lu Mu Yen might have the possibility of becoming a Grade 5 array master in the future, so it definitely wasn't wrong to befriend her. What's more, Yanzhou Kingdom was one of the small, affiliated kingdoms of Dongshuan, so they were also considered to be tied. Seeing Luo Yi considerate, he turned to look at Lu Mu Yen with a smile and said, "Speaking of which, young Miss Lu and I are both from the eastern region. How about joining forces in the following points competition?" Lu Mu Yen naturally found that He Lianlai wanted to befriend her. Thinking of He Lianlai's identity, she smiled, "Sure." The Ling clan and the Lu clan both settled in the eastern region, and there were many hidden enemies, such as the Shui clan and Gu clan, plus the black-clothed forces that attempted to assassinate her at the glacial mountain range, so it always made her feel a little uneasy. He Lianlai was the prince of the strongest kingdom in the eastern region, and to be able to participate in the Tianling continent tournament for hegemony meant that his status naturally wouldn't be low. It would be beneficial for both the Ling and Lu clan to befriend him. Since He Lianlai extended an olive branch one, she would naturally take it. Luo Li furrowed his brows. but he was from a clan in a superpower kingdom to begin with, so he figured out the key to why Lu Mu Yen agreed. Sure, then let's join forces. Luo Yi sighed. Even Lu Mu Yen agreed to join forces with Helian Lai. Luo Li definitely must get involved too. Lu Mu Yen were also allies now. Although Luo Li disliked Helian Lai, but he wouldn't mess up Lu Mu Yan's decision. Her clan was in a small kingdom of the eastern region, so if she was on friendly terms with Helian Lai, then she could get the Imperial family of Dongshuan to take care of her somewhat. Lu Mu Yen blinked at Luo Li and joked, "I thought we were allies long ago." "Of course, you promised to be with us yesterday." Luo Li raised his chin proudly. Lu Mu Yen just liked his tsundere, explosive appearance the most. "Luo Li, you really look very much like the cat I once raised." That cat was adopted by her when she was a child. Later, it followed her to cultivate every day, and after it transformed, it was very similar to Luo Li's appearance. However, in order to save her, it died in a secret realm. Therefore, after getting acquainted with Luo Li, she also had the feeling of extending her like for that cat towards him. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks. Luo Li's face darkened. This woman already said he was like a cat that exploded with anger last time too. I'm not a cat. Yun Zmo and the others also saw how close Lu Mu Yen was to Luo Li, and they were extremely surprised. One must know that Lu Mu Yen appeared gentle and refreshing on the surface, but it was too difficult to truly enter her heart and befriend her. After reaching an alliance agreement, Lu Mu Yen and the others rushed out of the city gate towards the next large city. Large-sized beast tides didn't gather every day. At night, under the guidance of Mo Yen, they managed to block 2 waves of medium-sized beast tides and advanced a few ranks. Lu Mu Yen, how can you calculate it more accurately than my elder brother? Luo Li approached her and said with a smile. The places she guided them to were all gathering places of the beast tides, and it was impossible to detect using mental energy from so far away. So how did she find it? Lu Mu Yen looked at him in amusement. I didn't calculate it. You're such a strange woman. Luo Li shook his head with a smile and didn't inquire into her secrets anymore. This woman didn't properly improve her cultivation base, but just liked to study these unconventional things. Lu Mu Yen rolled her eyes at him. You're the strange one. In fact, apart from Yun Zmo and the others, Helian Lai and his group were also curious as to why Lu Mu Yen could so accurately grasp the trend of the gathering of medium-sized beast tides. The more they interacted with this woman, the more it led to new discoveries, as if she had an endless sense of mystery. After killing 2 waves of medium-sized beast tides, Lu Mu Yen led the 3 teams to surround and kill several small beast tides. In any case, grasshoppers still had meat no matter how small they were. The level of demonic beasts between each large city also increased. Now, one could basically no longer see tier 2 or 3s in small beast tides anymore. Most of them were composed of tier 5 or 6 demonic beasts. The more they killed, the faster the points increased. Seeing her ranking on the Jade Tablet advance to 32nd, Lu Mu Yan's fighting spirit grew more intense. What came next was the key timing to snatch points. Lu Mu Yen, you're still 5 ranks behind me. Maybe I might enter into the top 10 a step ahead of you. You better give it your all. Luo Li still remembered the promised competition that day with Lu Mu Yen. It's boring to simply compete, how about we make a bet? Lu Mu Yen suggested with a smile, looking at the tsundere little cat. Luo Li rarely had the opportunity to get close to her, so he naturally wouldn't let it go. Sure, this little master agrees. What tray we betting with? I haven't figured it out yet. Why don't we promise each other a condition within their ability? Lu Mu Yen thought about it and asked, or what do you want to bet on? The thought of I want you rose in Luo Li's heart, and he quickly covered the strange look in his eyes. Then let's bet on a condition within our ability. Sure. Lu Mu Yen stretched out a palm and gave Luo Li a high five as a sign of agreement. There shouldn't be any suspense in the results. Lu Mu Yen would probably win. Helian Lai shook his fan and interrupted. He didn't think the 2 of them could really advance into the top 10, but if there was such a possibility, he also thought that Lu Mu Yen had a better chance of winning. Humph, what do you know, little pretty face? Luo Li glanced at Helian Lai. This amorous ghost really was annoying. Lu Muyen chuckled. Enough, let's hurry first, it's almost dawn. The three teams arrived at the large city where the trade fair was located when dawn barely broke. Come true. Chapter 213. Misunderstood. The city in front of them stood tall, majestic, and simple, exuding an ancient atmosphere. Lu Muyen looked up at the black iron city wall, which was several dozens of meters high. This city was the third largest city outside the central area, and its imposing manner was indeed extraordinary. A ray of sunlight penetrated the clouds and fell straight down, shrouding the entire city in a layer of warm light. Unlike the other cities, there were very few sword masters exiting the city gate, presumably because they were preparing to participate in tomorrow's trade fair. After entering the city, Luo Yi and the others walked to the largest inn in the city to check in. In large cities, there would be the largest in which only accepted sword masters holding green jade tablets or above. Of course, Lu Muyan's team, a team with only red jade tablets, also enjoyed the treatment of people from a large kingdom under the leadership of Luo Yi and the others. The rank of the jade tablets represented the rank of the kingdom: red, yellow, blue, green, cyan, orange, and purple. Starting from the cyan-colored tablet, it represented a relatively weak large kingdom, while purple represented the highest-ranking kingdoms in each region. There was also a dark purple jade tablet which represented a superpower kingdom, and only contestants from 5 kingdoms were eligible to have it. On the way to the inn, Lu Muyen found that the sword masters walking along the street were basically above middle phase sword monarch, and there were very few people who were at initial phase sword monarch. And as soon as Lu Muyen, this peak phase sword king cultivation base appeared in the city, it attracted the attention of many people. When they saw Luo Li talking beside her, they revealed a look of understanding. Many high-level female sword masters from large kingdoms also cast contemptuous glances at her. Lu Muyen furrowed her brows slightly. It seemed that these people regarded her as a woman who depended on Luo Li. Luo Li naturally noticed those strange gazes, and only when he swept them coldly with a gaze did they withdraw their looks. You don't need to care. He lowered his head and whispered in Lu Muyen's ear. Lu Muyen chuckled. It's not bad for them to think that way. At least they won't regard me as a strong opponent. She loved to pretend to be a pig and eat a tiger one the most. When the time came, it would be more beneficial to snatch demonic beasts and earn points. When Luo Li heard her words, he couldn't help but smile. This woman normally performed with average results but would then amaze the world with a single feat each time. He also looked forward to the time when she would blind those people's eyes. The location of the inn was very special, surrounded by spiritual force, much more abundant than any other place in the city, with separate small courtyards. Lu Muyen and the others didn't follow Helian Lai to Dongshuan Kingdom's courtyard and instead stayed in a courtyard of Rongzi Kingdom. After checking in, Lu Muyen called Yun Zmo and the others to the room to talk. Tomorrow, there'll be a trade fair between large kingdoms. I've made an agreement with Luo Li, and he'll be bringing us in to participate. Lu Muyen habitually took out spiritual tea and brewed it for the several people. Lu Mubai nodded. There should be a lot of rare items appearing in such a trade fair. It's good to go see the world, Fu Chen said with a smile. Such trade fairs were of high standards, and most of the things traded needed to be exchanged or required expensive purple gold coins. The assets they carried were probably far from enough. As members of the Imperial family, Yun Zmo and Yun Lan did have some resources in their hands, but they also knew that compared to those pupils from distinguished clans, their assets wouldn't be enough. But as long as they had the opportunity to participate in such a trade fair, they naturally wouldn't refuse. All right. Yenner, you're treating that Luo Li a little differently. Lu Mubai resisted but still asked. Little sister's attitude towards the 2 brothers of the Luo clan was obviously different from that of other people who she just met. Could it be that she liked that Luo Li? But he thought that it was impossible. Lu Muyen smiled helplessly and said, Elder brother, what tray you thinking? I already said that Luo Li is very similar to the cat I raised. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks Lu Mu Bai recalled the past, and Lu Mu Yen indeed did have a cat when she was a child, but it later died for some reason, and she was sad for a while. You. Lu Mu Bai looked at her in amusement and said, mischievous. To treat a little young master from a superpower kingdom as a cat that exploded with anger, only his little sister could do that. You collected so many spiritual herbs in the city before, do you still have enough money to go to the trade fair tomorrow? Lu Mu Bai asked. Lu Mu Yen smiled indifferently and said, if I don't have enough money I can exchange it with something, don't worry. If her elder brother saw something tomorrow, she would also take out something in exchange. As long as you know. The several people sat and chatted for a while, then they all left to prepare. After Lu Mu Bai and the others left, Lu Mu Yen took out the cyan cauldron and started refining several grade 3 pills. After night fell the next day, Luo Yi took them to the trade fair. The trade fair was chosen to be located in a place specifically used for trade or auctions in the city. The surrounding streets were brightly lit and there were several sword monarchs guarding outside the trading hall. Only teams showing cyan, blue, and purple jade tablets could enter. Of course, there were also some small and medium-sized kingdom people that depended on the large kingdoms that also entered. After entering the venue, a sword master serving as a waiter led the several people to the second floor. At this time, there were already many people sitting on the second floor. The rear was basically full, while some seats at the front were vacant. The waiter led them to the front and said respectfully, Lord Luo, these are your seats. If you need anything, please let me know. Thank you. Luo Yi nodded. The waiter was overwhelmed by the unexpected polite attitude and smiled more sincerely, said a few compliments, then left to receive the next wave of people. Lu Mu Yen sat next to Luo Li and swept the surrounding layout with her eyes. It was not inferior to the auction grounds of the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance at Yenzhou Kingdom last time. Who organized this trade fair? Luo Li replied with a whisper. It's organized by the Pill Tower, the force behind the largest pill stores in this large city. I heard that each session is held in turn. The last session was organized by the shops of the smithing pavilion. So that's how it is. Lu Mu Yen smiled. Luo Li also told her about the rules of the trade fair. This trade fair is different from the auction to be held in the central city next month. Most of it requires barter. If you ask for the price directly, it would generally be very high. Sword masters who need to trade or sell items will automatically come up to the stage in turn to introduce their things and say what they want for exchange. The sword masters who need it will propose a transaction and exchange on the spot. Because there are high-level powerhouses from the Pill Tower, no one dares to do things like forcefully buying or selling, or committing murder and snatching the treasure in the city. After hearing his words, Lu Mu Yen also roughly understood the rules of the trade fair, which was similar to the trade fairs held in the immortal cultivation world. About a quarter of an hour later, people came one after another, but there was still a vacant area in the seats in front of them. Helian Lai's position was just behind them, and after he sat down, he greeted them warmly. Oh, Yen Jun's team actually didn't come today. Helian Lai said in surprise, looking in the direction of the empty space. Luo Ye's clear and clean voice poured out, something must have happened. Otherwise, with Yen Jun's temperament, it would be impossible to miss such a trade fair. A melodious bell rang, indicating that the trade fair was about to start. Chapter 214. Pill Tower. As the two melodious bell rings fell, an elegant, long-bearded Taoist walked onto the front stage. This old man is Elder Shao of the Pill Tower. It is a great honor to be appointed by the Pill Tower to preside over this trade fair today. This old man won't introduce any longer either. I believe that everyone, who are from large kingdoms, understand the rules of the trade fair. This time, let us start with our Pill Tower. As soon as Elder Shao finished speaking, a young, beautiful, and graceful woman walked onto the stage, carrying a tray. These are the two types of grade 3 pills that the Pill Tower is going to trade. One is called Force Nourishing Pill. After taking it, it can nourish the meridians of the whole body and slowly remove the impurities contained in the body, making one's elemental energy pure. Its effect is best for sword masters at Sword Monarch. Elder Xiao lifted the red cloth on the tray to reveal 2 white porcelain bottles. The second kind of pill is the elemental condensing pill, which can improve your cultivation base. Sword masters at peak phase Sword Monarch can consume it and it will benefit in advancing to Sword Sovereign. Sword masters with Sword Sovereign cultivation base can also improve their cultivation base after consuming it, but the effect is slightly inferior. Elder Xiao's words were simple and clear, not as vivid as an auctioneer's words, nor was he deliberately hyping the medicinal effects of the pills, but it was precisely because of this that many sword masters below stared at the 2 white porcelain bottles on the tray with scorching eyes. The Pill Tower and the Smithing Pavilion were existences that were independent of any kingdom, sect, and clan, and they were also forces who had a very strong ability to rally supporters. They were one of the forces that were equal in power to the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance on this continent. From the name Pill Tower itself, one could tell that it was famous for its pills. There were grade 6 alchemists overseeing it, and there were also numerous high-level alchemists below them, gathering the most famous high-level alchemists of the entire continent. The alchemists in the Pill Tower were very free and could join other forces too, but they still belonged to the Pill Tower. There were countless alchemists who came out of the Pill Tower to serve as chief alchemists of various major forces. The alchemists had a strong sense of belonging to the Pill Tower, so the Pill Tower didn't just affect the alchemists of the entire continent, but also the numerous intertwining forces. No one dared to underestimate the Pill Tower, and the pills that came out of the Pill Tower even attracted all sword masters of this continent to compete for it, especially the pills of grade 3 and above. This time, the Pill Tower could even take out 2 kinds of famous grade 3 pills to trade, so it naturally roused the desire of the geniuses of the major kingdoms below. Because the Pill Tower and the Smithing Pavilion were too famous, even Lu Mu Yen and the others, who came from a small kingdom, knew of them. The pills for this trade actually contains the elemental condensing pill. Luo Li stared at the porcelain bottle on the stage with bright eyes, lowered his head and said, "Lu Mu Yen, if you can get the elemental condensing pill, you'll be able to break through to Sword Monarch." The elemental condensing pill could increase the cultivation base of a Sword Monarch and increase the chance to help peak phase Sword Monarch sword masters break through to Sword Sovereign by 1/10, while those at Sword King cultivation base who used it could increase their changes of breaking through to Sword Monarch by 5/10. Because of this, each time the elemental condensing pill appeared, it would cause a sensation, and this time was no exception. Lu Mu Yen retrieved her gaze from the porcelain bottle indifferently and said with a light smile, "I have never taken pills to break through to the next stage. It was indeed beneficial to take pills to improve one's cultivation base if taken properly, but after taking too much, the effect would obviously decrease. Taking pills to support breaking through to the next phase wouldn't have much effect. However, taking pills during advancement to the next stage would have a profound impact on future cultivation. With only the help of the spiritual force of heaven and earth and the impact of one's own power, one could consolidate one's essence and make one's own foundation more stable. Taking pills to help break through stages was only more for immediate benefit. Only when one had to advance past those unattainable stages would one realize the benefits of not taking pills to advance in stage. Of course, if one's cultivation base stopped at around the stage one was advancing to, then using pills to help advance to the next stage was indeed the best choice. Helion Lai was just behind the two of them and the corners of his mouth twitched when he heard her say that. Without high-level pills, then obviously she couldn't take pills to advance her stage. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks. Luo Li thought that it was because she came from a small and remote kingdom and didn't have any capital to buy it, so he thought about it and said, "I'll help you get one." Lu Mu Yen held her forehead. This little cat's ability to understand really was poor. "No need, I don't lack pills." Lu Mu Yen refused with a smile. Among the grade 3 pills she could currently refine, there was an elemental nourishing pill. Not only could it nourish one's origins, but it could also improve one's cultivation base, which was far more effective than this elemental condensing pill. Luo Li choked, turned his head speechlessly and stopped talking. He was afraid of being angered to death by this woman. Was face this important to strong women? Even if she owed him a personal favor, she wouldn't die, so why inconvenience herself? Although he appeared a little angry, but he was still prepared to get an elemental condensing pill for Lu Muyen to improve her cultivation base. He came from a superpower kingdom and was also the child of the largest clan in Rongzi Kingdom. He naturally had no shortage of grade 3 pills, but there was no surplus either. The pill formula for the elemental condensing pill was only available from the pill tower, and alchemists who joined other forces, even if they were grade 4, didn't know how to refine it. He and Luo Yi both had an elemental condensing pills in their hands which was given by the clan to use to break through to peak phase Sword Sovereign. Luo Yi was sitting next to Luo Li, and he took the words of the two to heart. Lu Mu Yan's indifference didn't seem fake at all. Only younger brother would misunderstand. Helian Lu was even in utter chaos from the storm. Lu Mu Yan usually seemed so cunning, so why would she be so silly at such a critical moment? What about face? If Luo Li wanted to gift it to her, then accept it. So what if the people who participated in the trade fair were all people from large kingdoms? The grade 3 elemental condensing pill was still definitely difficult to snatch. These two kinds of pills will not be exchanged for anything. We will sell it to the highest bidder according to auction rules. Elder Xiao didn't show any arrogance just because the pills of his tower caused a sensation among the sword masters below and remained refined and gentle. Lu Mu Yen had a high opinion of this Elder Xiao. Judging from the aura on his body, he was probably an alchemist too. Who's this Elder Xiao? She asked Luo Li in a whisper. Elder Xiao is one of the elders of the outer tower representing one of the highest authorities of the pill tower and also a grade 4 alchemist. Luo Li's tone carried a trace of respect. He also felt a little regretful in his heart. It was a pity that with Lu Mu Yan's talent, she was born in a small and remote kingdom like Yanzhou Kingdom. Luckily she was still young now, so she could still cultivate in time with good resources. Lu Mu Yan didn't know that Luo Li was feeling pity for her, and continued to ask, "Outer tower? Are there several towers in the pill tower?" The pill tower is divided into the outer tower and the inner tower. The alchemists who just joined the pill tower belong to the outer tower. Only those alchemists who have made a certain amount of contributions to the pill tower will become a core member of the inner tower. Of course, if you're a young alchemist with excelling talent, then you can also be accepted as a pupil by an authoritative elder of the inner tower and become an inner tower member. Luo Li explained patiently, the core alchemists in the inner tower will not join any force. They have the high-level pill formulas of Tianling continent, and those high-quality pills with some value all come out from the inner tower. Any high-grade alchemist coming out of the inner tower are all people who can shake up a part of this land on Tianling continent. So that's how it is. This pill tower's foundation is very deep. It was no wonder that such a force could become one of the top forces of the continent. Simply based on the pill formulas and pills they had, countless high-level sword masters would be the support behind them. A faint arc rose on her lips. She was a little interested in this pill tower now. Chapter 215. Contend for the Sea Serene Herb. The pill tower's foundation sure is very deep. Hearing her sigh, Luo Li said with a smile, "Of course, the pill tower and the smithing pavilion are existences that all major and small forces on the Tianling continent are unwilling to offend. There was once a distinguished clan that offended a core authoritative elder of the pill tower, and then the pill tower placed them on the blacklist, announcing that all the pills from the pill tower would not be sold to them from now on. The alchemists of the clan left one after another. As a result, that distinguished clan was finally reduced to a third-rate force. You're also an alchemist. If you meet an elder from the pill tower in the future, it will definitely be beneficial to befriend him." Luo Li's voice was so soft that only Lu Mu Yen could hear it. Lu Mu Yen accepted his kindness. Then is there a connection between the medicine sect and pill tower? She thought about it and asked. There's not much connection. Although there are many alchemists in the medicine sect, but they won't join other forces, only serving the sect. And the medicine sect's pills aren't often sold to the public like the pill towers. Luo Li replied. Lu Mu Yen nodded. There were numerous pill stores opened by the pill tower in all regions, and their nature was indeed very different from that of the medicine sect. Elder Shao saw that many people below were ready to act, so he smiled and said, "Now, let's auction the force-nourishing pills first. There are 3 pills in total, and the starting price for each pill is 2 million purple gold coins. 3 million. 6 million. 10 million. Soon, the price was called to more than 10 million. Lu Muyen blinked. Refining pills really made a lot of money. She couldn't even buy half a pill with the purple gold coins she had on her. It seemed that she could sell some in the future. Seeing that Luo Li was also planning to bid for it, she nudged him with her elbow and asked, "You want to bid for it?" Of course. The force-nourishing pill is one of the high-quality pills of the pill tower. They are rarely sold on the market. He was afraid that Lu Mu Yen wasn't clear, so he even specifically explained, "Don't listen to how its effect is only to nourish the meridians and remove impurities. The most important thing is that it's able to purify elemental energy. I know that the force-nourishing pill can purify elemental energy, but do you think that just taking 1 or 2 pills can purify elemental energy?" The force-nourishing pill belonged to nourishing-type pills and needed to be taken long-term to be effective. After taking 3 pills, it only had the effect of nourishing the meridians. It was impossible to slowly remove impurities without at least more than 10 pills, let alone purify elemental energy. That does seem to be the case. Luo Li furrowed his brows and considered it. He had also heard that the elemental nourishing pill had the best effect when taken long-term, but it was difficult even for pupils of large clans to buy such pills even if they had money, so how could it be possible for them to take it long-term? It's good even if it's to nourish the meridians first, he said after thinking for a bit. Lu Mu Yen rolled her eyes at him speechlessly. These people were just burning money because they had a lot. Seeing that he still wanted to bid, she tugged his sleeve and said, "Don't bid. They'll give you a pill later and I promise that its effect isn't inferior to this force-nourishing pill." The more she interacted with Luo Li, the more she felt that he was like that explosive little cat she once raised, and she left a softness in her heart for him, so she was naturally generous. Luo Li glanced at her with suspicion. She had grade 3 pills with the same effect? Looking down and seeing her pull his sleeve, his heart pounded. Even if this woman lied to him, he'd acknowledge it. "All right, I won't bid anymore." Only then did Lu Mu Yen reveal a smile, very satisfied with this little cat's cooperation. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks. In the end, the force-nourishing pill was auctioned at the price of 20 million purple gold coins, and Lu Mu Yan's eyes couldn't help but light up. The next auction of the elemental condensing pill was even more intense, basically to the point of snatching. Even the sword masters of the 3 other superpower kingdoms continued to bid. In the end, it was auctioned at the price of 50 million purple gold coins each, and many people expressed pity. After all, the sword masters who came to participate in the continental tournament for hegemony only had their own savings to use and couldn't ask the clan for support. Luo Li originally wanted to bid one for Lu Mu Yen, but she also stopped him. The words "you might as well give me 50 million purple gold coins than give it to the pill tower" almost made him explode again. Alright, the auction of the pill tower has ended. Now, the sword masters who want to trade are invited to take a number plate from the side and take the stage in turn. This old man will not say more, you can all progress freely. Elder Shao smiled and indeed walked down the stage and sat down. Both the pill tower and the smithing pavilion had their own plans whenever it was their turn to hold such trade fairs. The sword masters who were interested in trading stood up and went to the left to get the number plate. Even the sword masters of superpower kingdoms didn't dare violate the rules of the pill tower. "I have a peak-quality spirit treasure." The first sword master came onto the stage and began to introduce. The things that those who came on stage took out basically all required barter, so there were also no successful transactions. The things that the 7 or 8 sword masters at the beginning took out weren't bad, but none of them were of interest to Lu Mu Yen. Only when an indifferent, black-clothed man came up on stage, took out a profound ice jade box and opened it, did Lu Mu Yen sit straight up. This is the sea serene herb I found when I entered the competition space. Those who know it naturally knows of its effects. I want to exchange it for a grade 3 pill that can improve my cultivation base. If you don't have pills, spiritual stones can also be used to exchange. But it cannot be less than 200 low-quality spiritual stones. The man opened the profound ice jade box and began to explain the exchange conditions. The jade box was filled with seawater, and there were more than 10 dark green seaweeds dancing in the seawater, all of which were alive and well-preserved. The sea serene herb was very useful to those who knew how to use it, but it was of no value at all for ordinary swordmasters, so the people below were lacking in interest. Seeing Lu Muyan's eyes light up, Luo Li remembered that she had asked him to help gather news of the sea serene herb and asked, "You want to trade for it?" "Of course I want to trade." Lu Muyan nodded. This sea serene herb isn't worth that he said to trade with. Luo Li was afraid that she would be deceived. Lu Muyan said with a smile, "As long as I think it's worth it, it's fine. 200 low-quality spiritual stones is too expensive. If it's 100, I can still take it." Lu Muyan had yet to speak when a beautiful young woman sitting in the seat of a superpower kingdom said. The black-clothed man on the stage pondered for a bit and said, "If it's less than 200 low-quality spiritual stones, I will not trade." A look of displeasure flashed across the woman's eyes, but she didn't immediately increase the price. "I have a grade 3 pill here that I want to trade you. What do you think?" Lu Muyan flipped her hand and a white porcelain bottle appeared in her palm, then she directly tossed it to the man on stage. The man caught the porcelain bottle and swept his gaze over Lu Muyan. When he saw her cultivation level, he was only surprised for a moment, but didn't reveal any contempt or belittling. He opened the bottle cap and a scent of pills wafted out. A slight joy appeared on his indifferent face. He poured out the pill and picked it up with 2 fingers, placing it under his nose to sniff, then said, "It's indeed a grade 3 pill that can improve cultivation base. I'll trade." The black-clothed man quickly put the pill back into the bottle, closed the profound ice jade box and prepared to toss it to Lu Muyan. "Wait a moment. I'll give you 220 low-quality spiritual stones. I want your sea serene herbs." The beautiful woman who had stopped speaking spoke up again, with a forceful and domineering tone. "I'll give you 220 low-quality spiritual stones. I want your sea serene herbs." The beautiful woman from the superpower kingdom looked arrogantly at the black-clothed man on the stage, and looked at Lu Muyan in her peripheral vision with disdain in her eyes. A woman from who knows where that depended on Luo Li was worthy to contend with her? Originally, she also didn't need this sea serene herb, but her competitiveness rose. The indifferent man on the stage, who was about to make a deal, paused, glanced at the woman lightly, then tossed the profound ice jade box to Lu Muyan. "The trade is complete. You put the sea serene herbs away well." After speaking, he didn't even look at the woman who spoke again and went straight off the stage. So what if she was from a superpower kingdom? He was a royal member of a large kingdom to begin with. That woman wanted to lower the price before, and now she used such a domineering tone, as if in order. As if he would bother with her. What's more, he needed a grade 3 pill that could improve cultivation bases more. He only prepared to trade for spiritual stones as the last resort. The beautiful woman's eyes sank when she saw this, and anger rose on her pretty face. Then she turned her head and glared at Lu Muyan. Lu Muyan's eyes were cold. Did everyone think she was a soft peach one and wanted to squeeze her? "Mu Tong, what kind of gaze is that? Do you take me for dead?" Luo Li suddenly became unhappy when he saw Mu Tong glaring at Lu Muyan with vicious eyes. Mu Tong was stunned for a moment and didn't expect that Luo Li would criticize her just because she glared at her. That woman's face was just like a vixen. She was actually able to get Luo Li, that wooden head too, to be so enchanted and stand up for her. "Luo Li, she's just a woman from a small kingdom, must you blame me? It's fine to play with such a woman, but if you dare bring her back, the Luo patriarch would definitely beat you up." Mu Tong didn't want to be outdone and sneered. There was a bit of killing intent in Luo Li's eyes. Gathering elemental energy, he raised his hand and was about to strike her with a palm but was stopped by Lu Muyan. You're not allowed to fight here. If she leads you to fight, you will definitely be kicked out from the trade fair by the Pill Tower, then wouldn't it have gone according to her wishes? Lu Mu Yen didn't ignore the scheming in the eyes of that woman opposite. Luo Li's temperament was relatively straightforward and would most likely take action when he heard such words. When the Pill Tower drove them out, then they would be the ones to be embarrassed. The woman would not only regain her face, but could even continue to participate in the trade fair. Luo Li originally didn't understand why Lu Mu Yen stopped him, but after listening to her, the anger in his chest grew even more intense. But he held back, and when he took a look, as expected, he saw Mu Tong's expression of disappointment. That's true. We won't follow that ugly woman's plans. He sneered and sat up straight. Luo Li, you say that again. Mu Tong was about to provoke Luo Li to act, but she didn't expect that vixen to have some brains. But after hearing the other party say ugly woman, her face instantly turned black. Luo Li raised an eyebrow. Ugly woman. It's no wonder that people say that ugly people will do all kinds of things to get attention. I didn't understand it before, but I finally understand after meeting you. Ha! Many people in the audience couldn't resist laughing when they heard him say that. Mu Tong was furious, but she was very rational and didn't act. She cursed Lu Mu Yen inwardly. If it weren't for that woman, she wouldn't have been spoken to like that by Luo Li. All right, let's start the next one. Elder Xiao spoke slowly to stop the quarrel between the two. After speaking, he looked at Lu Mu Yen with a meaningful gaze, but he was mostly curious and wasn't dissatisfied. Mu Tong's face was grim, and she hated Lu Mu Yen and Luo Li inwardly. Luo Li's anger had yet to subside. He leaned over and asked Lu Mu Yen, "That's it?" Lu Mu Yen looked at him in amusement. "Even I'm not angry. What tray you angry about?" It was just a few words. It wasn't as if a piece of meat was bitten off of her. Even if she wanted to repay them, she wouldn't use such childish methods such as arguing. "I'm still upset." Luo Li pouted. "It's boring to quarrel with her back and forth like this, and also waste time. Like it's hard to prank people." Lu Mu Yen said with a chuckle. Luo Li's black eyes brightened and asked, "How do you plan to prank her?" He just knew that this woman wouldn't endure such slander. Besides, even if he brought Lu Mu Yen back, his old man would not only not beat him out, but he would even reward him. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks. If Lu Mu Yen just casually took out a jug of spiritual wine, his old man would definitely welcome her as an important guest. But this kind of thing naturally couldn't be said to Mu Tong in public. "Lend me your ears." Luo Li moved his head closer, and Helian Lai saw the two of them whispering. Although he couldn't hear them, but he could imagine that it was definitely not a good thing. He didn't have much interaction with Lu Mu Yen, but he was certain that she definitely had the kind of temperament that would retaliate at the smallest wrongs. For the rest of the time, sword masters continued to introduce the items to be traded. This is a black crystal diamond. If it is made into a magic tool, it will help increase mental energy and it will have the best effect on alchemists. I want to exchange it with spiritual tones. Minimum is 300 low-quality spiritual stones. It will go to the highest bidder. A burly and honest-looking man walked up to the stage with a small black stone the size of a thumbnail and introduced it. Mu Tong's originally calm face suddenly revealed a happy look. She was an alchemist. She had been looking for this black crystal diamond constantly. Who knew that she would meet it here? Black crystal diamonds of such size were also very rare. She could bring them back and ask the family's smith to help her refine a pair of earrings. 400 spiritual stones. She directly bid. Lu Mu Yen asked Luo Li, "Do you have spiritual stones on you?" "Yes." "Do you want the black crystal diamond?" "I'll bid it and gift it to you." Luo Li said with a smile. In a small and remote kingdom like Yenzhou, there were no spiritual mineral veins at all. All the spiritual stones used for the teleportation array were even given to them by large kingdoms each year. He guessed that Lu Mu Yen didn't have spiritual stones. Lu Mu Yen actually had spiritual stones, but the spiritual stones from the Yi clan was obviously not enough here. "No need. Just watch how I prank her later." Lu Mu Yan's stunning little face revealed a cunning smirk. Luo Li stared jadedly at the sly smile on her face, then immediately turned his head. His face was a little hot. This woman looked really nice when she smiled like this. Prank as you will. I definitely have more spiritual stones than her. He took a deep breath and curbed his emotions, saying, 700. One of them kept bidding against Mu Tong. Mu Tong definitely wanted to obtain that black crystal diamond, 800. The person was silent for a bit, then didn't continue to bid. Clearly, either the price exceeded his expectations, or he was short of money. Seeing that no one else was bidding, the burly man on the stage said with a smile, "This young miss has bid 800 spiritual stones. If there is no higher bid, this black crystal diamond will be traded to her." There was still silence below, and Mu Tong couldn't resist revealing a smug smile on her face. In fact, her heart still hurt a bit. Spiritual stones couldn't be compared to mere purple gold coins. Spiritual stones were a common currency among high-level sword masters and could also be used to cultivate with. She only had around 3,000 low-quality spiritual stones, and it was something that she had saved up for a long time, but this time, she used 800. Just when everyone thought that Mu Tong was definitely going to win the bid without any suspense, and when the burly man was just about to announce the winner, they heard a pleasant female voice. 8,000 spiritual stones. Everyone followed the voice and looked over. When they saw that the bidder was the alluring woman who was humiliated by Mu Tong's words earlier, they all revealed expressions like they were watching a good show. Come true one I think I've mentioned before, but the actual saying is soft persimmon, but it expresses the same thing. If one is a soft peach/persimmon that can be squished, they're thought to be weak and easy to bully. 2A blockhead basically. Someone who's dense. Chapter 217. The one I'm toying with is precisely 1,000 spiritual stones. Lu Mu Yan's voice wasn't too loud nor too soft, and it perfectly spread throughout the entire venue. Yun Zmo and the others who sat around her couldn't resist revealing some smiles. They knew that she wouldn't let things go like that. As for whether she had any spiritual stones, they weren't worried at all. They all knew that with her temperament, she definitely wouldn't let herself suffer. Seeing the provocative look that Lu Mu Yan looked at her with, Mu Tong narrowed her eyes and bid, 1,200. 1,500. Lu Mu Yan raised an eyebrow at Mu Tong. 1,600. Mu Tong bid. 1,700. Lu Mu Yan revealed a slightly pained expression. Mu Tong shouted with extreme hate in her heart, 1,800. 1,900. Lu Mu Yan was silent for a while before slowly shouting. Her little face was scrunched together, but also revealed an unwillingness to lose against Mu Tong. Mu Tong sucked in a deep breath, looked at the black crystal diamond in the hands of the big man with a deep look. Such a price had long exceeded the value of the black crystal diamond, but the unyielding anger in her heart had been suffocating her, plus she really did need it, 2,000. This was her baseline price. If this woman exceeded 2,000, then she wasn't going to bid again. In fact, after bidding, she already regretted a little. This was 2/3 of her savings. She suddenly hoped that the woman opposite would buy it, and she could then snatch it when she had the chance. So she also cast a provocative look at Lu Mu Yan, pretending that she was bound to win. In her heart, she had long believed that Lu Mu Yan was just using Luo Li's spiritual stones to compete with her. As long as she was a little more forceful, that woman would definitely continue to bid. Lu Mu Yan burst out laughing. Her originally wrinkled little face instantly bloomed into a beautiful smile. Her clear, lively voice poured out of her lips. Young Miss Mu indeed has a lot of money. Congratulations on buying a black crystal diamond with 2,000 spiritual stones. If this black crystal diamond is made into a pair of earrings and worn on your ears, it would indeed match very well. She revealed the expressions of giving up and also being conflicted to win, so the other party would definitely be fooled no matter what. But she ensured that she didn't overdo it. If it were higher than 2,000 spiritual stones, Mu Tong definitely wouldn't continue to follow, so she gave up when the price reached the limit of the other party. It would definitely not only anger this woman to death, but also make her bleed heavily. As soon as the gloating in her words were revealed, as long as those present weren't fools, they all knew that Mu Tong was toyed with this time. 2,000 spiritual stone black earrings might make her not look so ugly. Luo Li immediately smiled and added a stab. Mu Tong's face burned red. It was out of anger. She pointed at Lu Mu Yen and said angrily, "You were toying with me? The one I'm toying with is precisely you." Lu Mu Yen folded her arms with a bright smile on her face, not afraid of her at all. Mu Tong didn't know what to say. She just wanted to kill Lu Mu Yen immediately, but she hadn't lost her reason yet. She suddenly revealed a smile on her face. "This young miss has no shortage of spiritual stones and spends my own spiritual stones with a peace of mind. Unlike some Yanwo uses a man's money to be prodigal with. When you lose your appearance one day, I sure want to see what capital you have to be so arrogant." Is she talking about herself? Lu Mu Yen shrugged and asked Luo Li with a smile. Luo Li looked Mu Tong up and down and said with disgust, "With just her looks, she thinks she's worthy for a man to take out money for her to use? You're thinking too much. If there's such a man, his eyes definitely would be covered with gunk." After speaking, he glanced at the man in brocade sitting next to Mu Tong. The people below listened to the taunts of the two and could hardly suppress a smile. But because Mu Tong came from a distinguished clan from a superpower kingdom, many people still held back and didn't laugh. For the first time in her life, Mu Tong encountered such embarrassment and humiliation. Now she just wanted to tear the two people into thousands of pieces. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks, Mu Tong. Sit down. The handsome brocade-robed man that led the team furrowed his brows and said. As soon as Mu Tong lowered her head, she met his displeased and stern gaze. Her heart trembled. She calmed down, then sat down, revealing the arrogant attitude of a daughter of a distinguished clan again. She had finally managed to snatch over the betrothed of that lowly elder sister of hers, so she definitely couldn't make him resent her. The Luo clan was much stronger than the Mu clan, but if she only dealt with that wild woman who came out of who knew what random small kingdom, it would still be as easy as stepping on an ant. She couldn't lose her bearing. Although she thought so in her heart, she couldn't help but bleed. The purchase of a black crystal diamond exceeded her expectations by 1,200 spiritual stones, which made her hate the two even more deeply. But she didn't even think about who provoked who first. When the next person came up to introduce, Luo Li asked, "Why don't you want that black crystal diamond? Often wearing it can really increase the mental energy of an alchemist." "That black crystal diamond is of no use to me," Lu Mu Yen said with a light smile. Her mental energy had already reached the point where it was being suppressed by this interface, so it was useless even if she wore an even more advanced black crystal diamond. Remembering that her mental energy was still dormant, she couldn't resist furrowing her willow brows. If she couldn't find suitable spiritual items in this space, then she must spend some time after leaving to quickly promote the breakthrough of her mental energy, otherwise even refining grade 3 pills would be difficult. Luo Li didn't suspect much either, but he thought that if he encountered something better of this type in the future, he would keep it for her. Sitting in a corner of the trade fair was a stunning woman with a cold expression. Her appearance was not much inferior to Lu Mu Yen, with the two having their own strengths. She exuded a coldness that felt as if it kept people thousands of li away. When she saw Mu Tong be humiliated and stopped by the handsome man, there was actually a hint of mockery on her lips. She looked at Lu Mu Yen curiously before turning her attention to the person who was speaking on stage. As the trade fair drew to a close, a black-cloaked man stepped onto the stage. This way of dressing made the people below take a few more glances, but they weren't that surprised. Most people in such trade fairs would indeed use their original appearances to trade on stage, but there were also some people who didn't want others to know their identities for various reasons. They would transform their appearance or do what the person on stage did and hide their appearance. As soon as he took the stage, he went straight to the main topic. "I have a piece of soul-nourishing wood in my hand. I want to trade it for a spar that must be able to be used to refine a saint-level tool." His voice was hoarse and sounded like an elderly man. He must have changed his voice on purpose. After he finished speaking, he took out a profound iced jade box. After opening it, there was indeed a deep chestnut-colored branch with the thickness of an arm inside. After seeing the branch, the people sitting below couldn't help but be roused. The name soul-nourishing wood was as its name implied. It was a spiritual item that nourished the soul. It was rare in this world, and each time it appeared, it would definitely create foul wind and rain blood one. With the soul-nourishing wood, as long as the soul of a sword master, above sword monarch cultivation base, wasn't destroyed, even if they lost their physical body, their soul could still be attached to the soul-nourishing wood to be nourished. Then, after re-strengthening their soul, they could search for a person who matched their 8 characters too and seize their body. Possessing the soul-nourishing wood meant that one wouldn't only be able to nourish their soul and mental energy but could also save one's life in a moment of physical destruction. Such a thing didn't only make the elite pupils of large kingdoms desire it, but even Elder Xiao who sat there revealed an expression of desire. Lu Mu Yen looked up at the soul-nourishing wood in the profound iced jade box. This was precisely the spiritual item she was looking for to help awaken her mental energy. But she was just curious as to why this person was willing to put such a rare and peerless spiritual item for auction. When her mental energy carefully swept across the soul-nourishing wood, a look of understanding rose in her eyes, but she also had a little more confidence in obtaining it for herself. Come true one cause chaos, basically. 2. The 8 characters mentioned here, and you might hear quite often when talking about matchmaking, is basically an astrological concept that used 8 characters to divine a person's fate/destiny. The 8 characters/words uses one's birth year, month, day, and hour of ancient times. In this case, they're literally talking about finding a compatible physical body so that the soul could then take over that body and kill the pre-existing soul of the person, unless that person's soul's already gone. In real life, it's often used by Chinese matchmakers to decide the compatibility of 2 people who might be looking for a partner in marriage in life. Chapter 218. Win the soul-nourishing wood. The soul-nourishing wood that the mysterious man took out caused a sensation in the audience. However, the people present were all elite pupils of large kingdoms and superpower kingdoms. After the excitement calmed, they also found something wrong. The value of soul-nourishing wood was simply incomparable compared to a mere metal attribute spar that could be used to refine a saint tool. Which sword master wouldn't hide it and tuck it away after finding one, for fear that others would desire it? But why did this person take the initiative to trade it? Many mental energies swept towards the man's soul-nourishing wood in the profound iced jade box. He waited for everyone's mental energy to have swept over it, then he said with a hoarse voice, "You must have also found out that my soul-nourishing wood is already withered to death. It can still be used to nourish the soul, but a soul cannot attach itself to it. If it weren't for this, I wouldn't take it out to exchange for my required refining materials." He didn't conceal it. Everyone had their own needs. If it were really a soul-nourishing wood that wasn't withered, then he'd be crazy to bring it out to trade. Hearing him say this, many people revealed disappointment, but then they scoffed at themselves. This should be how it was. There was a hidden smile in Lu Mu Yan's eyes. There definitely wouldn't be a lot of people contending for a piece of dead soul-nourishing wood, and the possibility of drawing fire to oneself after winning it was also lower than a live soul-nourishing wood. Others may not be able to do anything about a dead soul-nourishing wood, but the green sea of fog in her body could bring spring back to withered trees one. As long as she nourished it for a period of time, then this piece of soul-nourishing wood should be able to regain its vitality. Many people in the venue lost interest in the soul-nourishing wood. Although a piece of dead soul-nourishing wood did have the effect of nourishing the soul, but they weren't sword masters who cultivated special soul methods like ghost cultivators. The effect of nourishing the soul wasn't even as good as the force-nourishing pill auctioned earlier that nourished the meridians. Of course, there were also sword masters that didn't give up. No matter what, soul-nourishing wood was still a divine rank spiritual item. Even if it were dead, they believed it still wouldn't be too inferior. It was also beneficial to trade it back and nourish their soul a bit. Maybe they could even use this soul-nourishing wood at a critical time. Most of the sword masters from large kingdoms who had metal attribute smithing material all went up to show the black-cloaked man, holding a mentality that if they could trade for it, they'd trade, if not, then not. After seeing most of them, the cloaked man shook his head one after another. None of them met his expectations. Elder Shao pondered for a while, then took out an oak-colored spar and handed it over. This is an oak crystal which was mutated from a 10,000-year oaken to give rise to the metal attribute tree spar. He didn't say much either and let the black-cloaked man judge for himself. Inwardly, he was still very interested in the dead soul-nourishing wood. After all, he was an alchemist, and the soul-nourishing wood could also nourish his mental energy. But it was a pity that he wasn't a sword master that had the metal attribute elemental energy element, so he didn't have any better materials for refining metal attribute magic tools. The cloaked man took it over and looked at it, nodded, but didn't say whether he wanted it or not, obviously still wanting to see if there was something better. How about this 10,000-year-old amber metal? The handsome man in brocade beside Mu Tong tossed an orange spar over. The man caught the orange spar and looked it over. Because of the cloak, his expression couldn't be seen. After a while, he said hoarsely, "This 10,000-year-old amber metal is indeed the best spar at present. If others don't have a better one, then I will trade it." Hearing what he said, the brocade-clothed man revealed a smile in his eyes and his body relaxed. It was obvious that the soul-nourishing wood was extremely important to him, but only Lu Mu Yen noticed this very small detail. In fact, she didn't really want to be high-profile in such a place and time, not to mention deliberately offending the leader of the elite pupils of a superpower kingdom. But there was no other way. She urgently needed the soul-nourishing wood to awaken her mental energy. Not to mention, she wasn't someone who was timid or afraid of things, so she could only be high-profile. How about my heavenly frost golden crystal? Lu Mu Yen tossed a golden spar that contained liquid inside to the cloaked man. As soon as her voice fell, the eyes of the people present all swept to the golden spar. It turned out to actually be the heavenly frost golden crystal. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks. The cloaked man stretched out his hand and caught the spar. Under careful scrutiny, his hand was slightly trembling, and it was obvious that he was very excited. Heavenly frost golden crystal. It really was the heavenly frost golden crystal. What he had been searching for in so long had really appeared. The man held the heavenly frost golden crystal tightly. He had already prepared to exchange the soul-nourishing wood with the 10,000-year amber metal, but he didn't expect such a variable to occur. Even his heart that he had toughened through training couldn't help but tremble. If he had the heavenly frost golden crystal, then the power of that magic tool he refined would definitely be greatly increased by several times, and the grade could also reach middle quality Saint Tool. I want this piece of heavenly frost golden crystal. He quickly put away the heavenly frost golden crystal in his hand, fearing that Lu Mu Yen would regret it, then tossed the profound ice jade box to her. This is the soul-nourishing wood, put it away safely. After the man stepped down from the stage, he didn't continue to return to his position, but instead walked out of the venue quickly. Several of the sword masters in the venue also got up and followed. Who knew whether they were a team or if they wanted to go kill and snatch the treasure? Lu Mu Yen happily confirmed the soul-nourishing wood in the profound ice jade box again, ignoring the sinister and ruthless gaze of the brocade-clothed man, then put it away leisurely. Her speech and calm demeanor also attracted the attention of many people present. To be able to take out the heavenly frost golden crystal to trade, this woman definitely shouldn't be as simple as she seemed. Though that's right. The woman that Luo Li liked would definitely not be too inferior. That's because the heavenly frost golden crystal was also a rare spiritual item, and in fact, in comparison, it was much more valuable than a dead soul-nourishing wood. Lu Mu Yen, why do you want that dead soul-nourishing wood? Luo Li was speechless at her behavior of taking out a heavenly frost golden crystal to trade for the soul-nourishing wood. If it were a live soul-nourishing wood, the heavenly frost golden crystal was indeed inferior, but a piece of dead soul-nourishing wood really wasn't worth trading for with a piece of heavenly frost golden crystal. Lu Mu Yen smiled lightly and said, "Only what is useful to oneself is the most valuable. Not to mention the heavenly frost golden crystal. If she had to, she would even take out the heavenly frost golden essence for this piece of soul-nourishing wood." The trade fair was still being held, but after the appearance of the soul-nourishing wood and the heavenly frost golden crystal, the other things seemed too bland, and there were no more surprises even until the end. After the end of the trade fair on stage, there was also a trade fair where one traded freely, which was convenient for those who didn't act just now to trade in private. There were also sword masters who didn't like to take things onto the stage to trade, so they could choose to negotiate quietly and privately. Alright, the trade fair is over now. Those of you who still have intentions to trade can trade privately. If sword masters have nothing else to do, then you can leave first too. Elder Shao stood up and said with a gentle smile, "This old man wishes you all the best of luck to achieve a good result in the continental tournament for hegemony." After he finished speaking, he also didn't remain and walked straight in through the back door. Add the stunning woman beside Luo Li to the list of priorities to pay attention to. After the door closed, Elder Shao said as he walked in an empty corridor. After his voice fell, a voice suddenly echoed in the corridor, "Yes." Lu Mu Yen, Luo Li, and the others also didn't have anything else to trade, so they got up and prepared to leave the venue. But after only walking a few steps, a group of people blocked their way. Come true one, it's kind of wordplay. Spring comes to the withered tree is actually an idiom and used figuratively, meaning to have a second chance at a better life, to be reborn as a new person, in a sense. In this case, the author uses it literally to say that LMY could revive the piece of dead soul-nourishing wood. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.